Oh my my my. Oh my my my. What do we have here? Oh wow. Okay. So, guys, we got something really special here. Will being like the worst live debater that there is, because you'll want to hear something funny. Is currently this mic is only plugged in to YouTube. So if you want better audio, you know, come join the YouTube, which is linked in my bio. But if you can hear me fine right now, actually, I'm going to need to undo this. There we go, baby. There we go. Okay. Hi, 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 hi. Your FOMO of the comments. I should figure out how to... That's fair enough. The thing is on YouTube you can get better audio. But on here, you know, you get the comments. So it's a win-win-win-win-win. But let's see. We do have guest requests on. Who is this?
William.
Oh, hello.
Hey, my phone's gonna die. I just have a quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
Death penalty for people like Nicholas Cruz, Chris Watts, who are undeniably guilty. Like, no, without a shadow of a doubt, to hold them accountable, actually not take away the tax dollars, and provide the public a general, like, consensus that if this were to happen, you will be you will be protected. Why are you against that?
Yes.
Why?
So you said something about tax dollars. What did you say about tax dollars?
Yeah, like the tax dollars go to for their life sentences.
Yeah, but it's more expensive to put them through the death penalty.
I think that the death penalty should be really simple. Like a single bullet doesn't cost that much. You know what I mean?
Oh, but that's not the question. The point is, so you're talking about specific cases where it's like really, really obvious. But the thing is if you look at any
Undeniably obvious.
but that's the legal bar.
100% certain.
But there's no such thing as that, is there?
Oh, sure. So, like, I'm just talking about, like, a normative, I think.
But also, okay, just talking about this, like the death penalty, as it stands, is much, much more expensive than life in prison. Not because of the method of unaliving the person, but because of the prosecution in order to ensure that the person is guilty, right? Because they have to go through extra impeachments, which I think, like, we're talking about a system here. We're not talking about single things. We can't have special rules for people that we just feel like they really deserve it, you know? So we have to talk systemically. And systemically, I think you would agree that we should have, like, extra prosecution to ensure that it is 100% certain that this person committed this crime, and that will cost more. So it does cost more, so it doesn't save tax dollars. So why do I not want to do it? Right? First of all, because no matter how sure you as a person are that these people are guilty, you know, it doesn't guarantee that they're guilty. At least not through every technicality of the law.
Wait. Are we 100% sure that Nicholas Cruz shot at his high school?
We aren't 100% sure of the certain laws regarding it, right? So I agree there's a huge amount of evidence pointing towards this action. But once again, I'm talking systemically. But secondarily, it doesn't actually show to... Okay, here's the thing. Few things. First of all, you're asking about specific examples. I beg of you to ever look at any given court case, because the law is complicated, and there are many real evaluative arguments regarding the internal prosecution of any given person. But secondarily, even if we knew, like, let's take this hypothetical where we know that any given person could conceivably be 100% guilty, right? It doesn't have any deterrence effect, right? It doesn't have any deterrence effect. There's no evidence that the death penalty, by comparison to life in prison, deters crime in any way, shape, or form. So it doesn't send any message, or it might, but that message isn't heard or cared about. So it doesn't do anything, and it costs us more.
I don't even know how we would begin to measure that. Like, we could do like and if I leave, by the way, my phone just died. We could do like a psychological analysis of like reinforcement theory, and we recognize that if we could instill like a genuine fear in people that if they do this, that they're not going to get any publicity besides a bullet in their head, then yeah, they're less likely to do it instead of getting this notoriety and their own Netflix like series like Jeffrey Dahmer, right? And so there can be exceptions to the rule. I agree that there's going to be a systemic rule, but in the rare cases like Nicholas Cruz, where there is undeniable evidence, right? Anyone would have to be like batshit crazy to even believe for a second that Nicholas Cruz is not 100% guilty, right? And so
Not really. I beg of you to read the law, but also like, first of all, no. You keep saying that.
Can we agree that Nicholas Cruz is 100% guilty?
No, I will never agree to that, because once again, you need to know the law. No, I know you're gonna do this whole outrage. You're gonna do this whole outrage thing, but I need you to understand what I'm actually saying and not what you want me to be saying. What I'm saying is the evidence is there that he did the action, but the law is complicated, right? And the specific way that we prosecute and the certain things that we will find him guilty of, right, is going to go through an incredibly complicated process that has subjective human like opinions and choices by both prosecutors and juries that will never be 100%, right? It just doesn't work that way.
We have video evidence of what. Do you know who Nicholas Cruz is?
Yeah, I'm aware you're talking about a school like Pew Pewer. I'm aware, right?
Do you know who Nicholas Cruz
It does. Once again, I've already said I agree that there's the evidence that the actions were committed. Did you hear me when I said that?
Wait, but Will, then you have the evidence that he did it. Fuck the subjective opinions, right?
But the law is constituent of subjective opinions.
Wait, okay.
Like,
So yes, when there's not. Yeah, wait. Maybe back when it was written, where we didn't plan or have like the technology, where someone was going to record themselves planning out vicious, heinous crimes and then doing it on camera. Right, sure. So now there needs to be a change in the rule where when these things occur, there needs to be harsher punishment.
how can those rules be enforced other than by people, right? With subjective opinions, right? Like prosecutors get choice, judges get choice, juries get choice.
Wait, why do you keep using the word of subjective? Like, of course I'm not going to make a silly claim that this is going to be an objective standard. Of course we're determining all of this through subjective means, right? And so subjectively, if we have the technology to determine that someone is undeniably guilty.
No such thing. This is my point. Is there's no such thing. You can keep repeating it. There's no such thing.
I mean, well, you want me to look into the court systems?
Do.
Look into the case of Nicholas Cruz.
Look into. Have you ever read any legal case ever? I'm actually just going to ask this question. Have you ever read in full any legal case ever?
In full, no.
Okay, then literally be quiet. Like, you don't know the point I'm making because you are not hearing the point, because you don't want me to hear, because you want to pretend to be outraged, because you want to continue being like, oh, Will doesn't think that he did it. What I'm saying is that even if we accept the facts, even if we objectively accept the facts, no, I don't care. The point is that even if we objectively accept the facts, right, there is still humans part of this system, right? These humans will make mistakes. These humans have choice on what and how it is prosecuted, right? So this idea that there's ever any undeniable guilt is wrong.
Okay, hey, Will, you're a smart dude. I got nothing but respect for you, right? But the fact that you're going to say that Nicholas Cruz is not undeniably guilty just demonstrates you have no idea who the fuck you're talking about.
No one is undeniably guilty. You can deny anything. The grounds is reasonability.
Say out loud right now that there is a chance Nicholas Cruz did not shoot up his high school. Say it.
That's not the question.
Oh, wait. Is there any chance in the world that Nicholas Cruz didn't shoot up his high
It
school?
wasn't the question.
That's the question now. Yes or no?
I don't know the specific case to note it.
So you don't even know who Nicholas Cruz is, and you're making...
I don't know the specific... Well, I'm making a universal claim. Wait, no, here's the thing, is I'm willing to stand by my universal claims that are relevant. No, you're not going to overtalk me on my own life, because you're going to misrepresent what I said. What I said was, in all cases, there exists conceivable deniability. And you want to bring up a very specific case.
Not for this case.
You're just wrong. You don't understand how the court system works.
The fact that you think there is a shadow of a doubt that Nicholas...
Didn't say that. That's a lie. You're a liar. I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
Is there a shadow of a doubt of what Nicholas...
That's not what I said. Also, I don't know the facts enough to say that.
I'm asking you...
I've answered your question before.
Yes, and before. You can run the tape back if you want, right?
And I never said that there was a shadow of a doubt.
Is there a chance that he's innocent?
I never said that. I don't know the specific facts enough to say that.
Cool. So look it up and learn something today, Will. I gotta go.
I love when people do this, right? Also, hello to everyone online on YouTube. Please listen to me. But the point is, okay, what I'm saying is humans are involved in every single part of the court system and the justice system, right? They will make mistakes. There is not a single thing where there is not any possible deniability. This is stupid, though. Like, court cases get thrown out on things other than evidentiary burdens and evidentiary issues every day, right? There's no chance that there was a misadministration of justice. There's no chance that there was a evidentiary tampering problem. Like, if a prosecutor messes up, the whole court case can be thrown out. If the police messes up, the whole court case can be thrown out. If the judge messes up, if the jury messes up, the whole court case can be thrown out. It has nothing to do with, oh, we have video evidence, we have every single conceivable piece of evidence. There are legal problems to every single court case, right? This is why I ask these people if they have any clue or have ever read any court case ever or any court proceedings ever, right? Because if you look at any court case for long enough, you could find something where you're like, well, maybe there was a misadministration. Well, maybe they violated the constitutional rights, right? Like, you can do it. This is why I'm saying, right? I love talking to people about law because it's what I study. Come up to me after you've talked to anyone ever about law or read an entire court case. But let's let other people up. Let's let Amber up. Thank you so much for everyone coming up. If we can send likes so we can get, 10,000, 20,000 likes, that would be absolutely lovely. Follow me up here and do follow my YouTube. I'm also currently live on YouTube if you want to go watch it there. This is what this is for because it's only connected to my YouTube. It also makes me feel like a baller. Hello, Amy.
Oh, it's Amber, sorry.
Amber, sorry.
No, you're good. So I wanted to say that guy before, he just wasn't able to grasp what you were saying, I think. Like, he thinks that he just, looked way smarter than you, but what it was, he could not grasp that you were trying to separate, that you weren't saying there wasn't evidence, I guess, that was there, but that you were saying that, people are involved, so mistakes can be made, and I don't think he was able to grasp that.
I agree.
But on another thing, so I want to say I agree with everything that's up there, except I am a Christian. It's more of a spiritual, not Christian, the bigoted,
That's great. Just because it's only relevant if you believe one thing. Do you think you can prove your God to exist?
Okay, so prove as in hard, physical evidence?
Any evidence, like epistemic evidence.
I believe.
Oh, that's drastically different. Yeah. Like, can you provide me proof such that I would believe?
No, because I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and say that there is physical evidence, to be found, because it's not that. It's not that there is, I guess you could look at, people claim to have found Noah's Ark or whatever, you could argue that, but just on day-to-day, proof, no. It's a feeling. It's something you have to see and witness. And I'm not here, I don't believe you're supposed to go out and try to convert people or condemn people or anything like that. I also don't believe God hates gay people or trans people. Let me say that. I don't believe that because I'm queer. So.
Well, great. Yeah, then we don't really have a disagreement. Is the point? I don't think we really disagree. I mean, I don't really disagree with you conceptually that God could exist, or I don't think you're wrong in believing that God exists. What I'm saying is I don't think you have evidence, and I think we agree then. So if that's the only thing you disagree on, I think I'm probably going to try and move on to someone who disagrees. Yeah. But what?
What is exactly an agnostic atheist? What's your definition? I was just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. So I observe there's no evidence for God, and therefore I don't believe in one. Great. Well, I appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Let's see. Once again, I am live on YouTube as well. You're going to get better audio, and you're going to be cooler because I want to grow my bigger YouTube platform because TikTok is not a fan of me. But while I am still stuck on TikTok, just follow me on here. Follow me on my backup, wills.spam. And much love. And also, I have my link in my bio, which has all of my socials. And I would appreciate if you go on it. So yeah, let's see. Soon coming to TikTok though, I will have my better audio. But right now, YouTube is the only one that has it. I'm gonna do a whole like. Oh no, re-request. I clicked the wrong person off. Anyway. Sort yourself out? In what way? In what way don't I have myself sorted out? Hilarious. Hello, Reese? Rise?
Yo, not every day do I join a debate live and disagree on every single point you've put on the board. It's a very crazy situation, really.
Very crazy.
We should pick a point and then we can debate about that.
Let's start with my bread and butter. Let's go pro-choice. Are you pro-life?
Yes, I am pro-life.
Why?
Yes. Well, I do genuinely believe that abortion.
Can't hear you.
I think abortion is just wrong.
Why? So I don't think everything that's wrong should be illegal. So do you think that abortion should be illegal?
Illegal's different. I don't know if that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. I just think it's morally wrong.
Oh, cool. Then I don't really disagree. When I say pro-choice, I'm talking about a legal position.
Oh yeah, I don't think that should be illegal, but I do think it's very immoral.
Very cool.
Fines in place, maybe not jail time.
Why would there be fines?
Especially for repeat offenders, because there's contraceptives out there which you can use.
Which most people who get abortions use.
Pardon?
Which most people who get abortions use.
I mean, there's preventative measures you can take.
Which most people that get abortions use.
Pardon?
Which most people that get abortions use preventative measures, at least one.
I know, but I mean, condoms are 99% effective or something like that. And then
Yep, that's why most people, it works most of the time.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so why would you want to fine women for, like, should I fine people for being repeat offenders of not giving their blood? Should I fine people for being repeat offenders of not being organ donors? Like, I don't understand why we would fine someone for being a repeat offender of instituting their rights.
It's because I believe, if you're repeating the offence over and over again, you're getting abortions, you clearly haven't learned your lesson. You just sacrificed a human life for no reason.
Yeah, but it's not an offense. That's the point, right? Every single time I choose to not give blood, right, I'm sacrificing human life, but I shouldn't be penalized for it.
Give blood in what sense?
In what other sense could I mean it?
Why is giving blood relevant?
Because the point is I should have control and autonomy over my body, and any form of government sanction would violate that control and autonomy.
I'm saying, it's like, you can have control of your body. If you want to go murder someone, you can do that, but there should be offences in place. You don't
Well, that's because it violates someone else's rights. Abortion doesn't violate anyone else's rights.
Yes, it does. It violates the baby's rights.
What right?
I mean, the right to be alive. Once you're actually alive, once you're procreated, once you're an embryo, that means you're human life, right?
So in terms of right to life, what does my right to life include?
Well, I think once you're born and once you've been conceptualized, I believe you're now a human.
No, I don't. That's not what I'm disagreeing on. I'm asking you what it means to have a right to life. Do I have a right to everything necessary to my life, or do I have a right to have my life not be infringed upon in unjust manners? Because I don't think my right to life includes taking food from you. I don't think my right to life includes taking organs from you. So why would the child's right to life include taking nutrients from the mother or taking stem cells from the mother, like happens in pregnancy?
As I believe there's preventive measures that can counteract if you don't want to a child, you can do certain things to not get a child.
So do you think? Yeah.
Measures that can affect that, then I would believe that, yeah, being abortion is correct because you can't prevent having a baby, but because there's condoms, because there's birth control, I do believe that, killing a baby in abortion is wrong.
So do you think that we should force women to give like their kidney or liver to their child if they need it outside the womb?
I mean, that will never happen. But
It will happen. It has happened multiple times. Actually, there's been litigation over this before. So I mean, you can pretend like it won't happen and not own up to the legal and moral consequences of your position. But I'd love to know: are you willing to tell women that they have to give their body to their children outside the womb?
they don't have to, but I believe it's immoral if they don't.
Should they be fined if they don't?
No.
Okay, great. Then why do you like devalue women who are pregnant? Because you're saying, okay, well, we shouldn't, but it's a child outside the womb as well. Do you think that babies have more rights than children?
No, same right.
Exactly. So then we should have the same legal treatment. But you're saying, well, actually I have a special legal treatment for when they're inside the womb. So you're giving fetuses extra rights and taking extra rights away from pregnant women. Why do you devalue pregnant women?
Because in a legal sense, there's the intent. So I think the intent, there's much more value if you kill a child than if you just kill a baby than a child. I mean, I can understand if you're 15, you don't want to have a baby. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad intent. But I mean, if you're killing a child that's 1 year old, I mean, there's much worse intent. Intent's a big thing when you're prosecuting someone.
I agree, but you don't understand what intent means in terms of prosecution.
Okay.
Like, you're not representing that correctly. Like, what do you mean intent? In both cases, the intent is to not give your body to the child. Your intent is to engage in the action, right? And the intent is to disconnect the child from you. So I don't understand how we could have different intents. It's pretty much the same exact action with the exact same outcome and the exact same foreseen outcome. So I don't see how we couldn't intend that to happen either.
Take a case of self-defense. You're going to kill someone because they're going to kill you. You're going to get a much lighter sentence than if you...
No, you're gonna get no sentence, actually.
Yeah.
Zero. Nothing. You're gonna get no sentence. You're not gonna get prosecuted. Are you talking about mitigating factors? This would be
You would get a sentence.
which country?
Self-defense is very weird here in the UK.
So I study law in the United Kingdom. I study English and Welsh law, and self-defense is a full defense. So it provides a full defense to unaliving. So you're not guilty by way of self-defense. Just like insanity is a full defense. There are two partial defenses that would be relevant here: loss of control and, oh God, my criminal law is slipping on me, but we're not talking about loss of control. So no, self-defense in the United Kingdom is a full defense. So you would have no sentencing.
No, if someone's on my property, you don't have the right to kill them. Or someone's not using...
That's just homesteading.
Force against them, like a firearm or a knife, I can go get penalised for that.
Yeah, but that's not, so self-defense when it applies, right? Self-defense can be a mitigating factor, but it can also be a full defense. But by and large, it's a full defense. You're talking about the homesteading argumentation, right? And homesteading is not justified. Like protection of property with lethal force is not self-defense. When we're talking about self-defense, we're talking killing in order to prevent killing. If you're talking about killing in order to prevent like bodily harm, right? You can kill in order to prevent grievous bodily harm, and that's self-defense. But normal bodily harm, you can't. But then it's just a mitigating factor. So I understand what you're talking about. Self-defense is a mitigating factor. But even mitigating factors, like what mitigating factor would apply to a child outside the womb and not a child within the womb?
As I said, there's much more benefit to a mother killing a child inside the womb than outside. So therefore, there should be a lesser sentence. It's more understandable.
What? Also, what's the background noise? Anything we could do about the background noise?
Oh, sorry about that.
All good.
So as I said, I think when a baby's inside the womb, it's more understandable and it's more benefit to the woman if the baby dies than if it's outside the womb.
So you're saying there should be a lighter sentence?
Yes.
When it's inside the womb?
Yes.
Okay, then that would contradict your logic. Because what you said is that there should be fines when it's inside the womb, but not fines when it's outside the womb. So hear me out now. Hear me out now. It's possible that having fines is not less.
Yes, so that's what I mean. If you kill a child outside the womb, there should be not fines, it should be imprisonment.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. So do you believe that we should imprison women who don't give their kidney or liver or blood or stem cells to their child outside the womb?
No, because you have directly killed the child.
Great. So do you know how the abortion pill works?
I believe the mother's pumped with chemicals to then kill the child.
Yeah, you're incorrect. The mother stops the production of a certain necessary hormone to the child. So it's also not directly killing the child. It's actually quite similar to just not giving your body any more to the child. So given that, do you change your position?
Nope.
Okay, then when you said that it was about directness of killing, you didn't actually care. So do you want to make up a new excuse for your illogical argument?
No, I think my argument is based. I do believe that when the child's outside the womb, there's much less benefit to killing it than when it's inside the womb. So therefore, there should be different sentences.
Yeah, see, you've changed it from different because you realized that what you said was contradictory. But you said that it was directly killing the child. It isn't. So if both are indirectly killing the child, right, and you're arguing that due to what?
No, because when you get abortion, that's directly killing the child.
I disagree. So could you describe to me the difference that you're suggesting between directly and indirectly? Because from my view, something like poisoning or stabbing or cutting would be directly, whereas just me not giving would be indirectly, and an abortion is them not giving.
You cannot choose. Let's say you've got a baby inside of you. You cannot really choose to abort that baby. You have to go through some procedure, I believe. You can't just be in your brain, I'm aborting this baby, and it gets aborted, right?
Okay, so let me make this analogy. This is the action-inaction distinction. But action-inaction doesn't really hold up. Thank you for the full moon. I appreciate it. So when we question action and action, so if I'm giving blood currently, right, and it's like a 1 month procedure where I have to sit down and give blood, or do I have to stay there and continue giving blood, or can I pull out the connection between me and another person?
I don't understand how that's relevant, really.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna make it relevant if you would entertain it.
All right. So, say it again, please.
So if I'm giving blood to someone, and it's a continuous process for like a month, and this person will die without it, okay? Do I have to sit there and continue giving blood, or do I have the right to pull out the connection between me and then the other person?
Yes, if you agree, you have to be doing it. It's morally wrong to pull out.
Is it illegal?
If you agree. Yes.
On what basis would it be illegal?
You've agreed to keep giving blood, so it's morally wrong.
What if I merely agreed to start giving blood and I explicitly retained the right to pull out my stuff? Then would I have the obligation?
Yes, no, because you've agreed. So you have the stipulation to not give blood.
Wonderful. So what if there was no contract and I start giving blood? Am I assumed to have the right to stop giving? Let's say it was an emergency situation and I connected in the first place.
No.
You don't?
You've agreed then, right there and then, that you're going to keep giving blood.
How do you assume that?
By giving blood.
How do you assume that?
I believe the baby and the body's different, and just because there's preventative measures in order to just not have a baby.
But there are equivalently preventative measures from me. There are equivalently preventative measures from me connecting my blood to someone. That doesn't mean that this changes it. My point is that we retain the right to our body even if we give our body in the first place. If I give someone food, that doesn't imply a obligation for me to continue giving them food. If I start giving my stem cells to someone, the next time they come around and need stem cells, it doesn't imply an obligation to give them stem cells. And also with consistent actions, it makes no distinction. Right? There's no suggestion that starting a consistent action obliges you to continue it, right? This doesn't actually make sense, and this isn't what the law would suggest. So I'm wondering why you're taking away rights from pregnant women that you wouldn't take away from, women who are not pregnant.
As I said, I don't think the analogy is relevant. I think that because it's preventative measures, that having a baby is basically you got to do it because you can't prevent having a baby, but you also made you have a baby.
Yeah, that's just a feelsies over realsies argument, but we can move on to the next topic. You said you disagreed with everything, so I think we've gotten you to the point of just reiterating your the propaganda that's been told to you. So if you want to talk about, I don't know, feminism, agnostic atheism, trans men are men, or anti-death penalty, I'm happy to talk to you.
I don't mind the argument trans men are men.
Great. So why do you believe that trans men are men?
I don't believe that.
Okay, why don't you? Sorry.
Because they're two different beings, essentially. I believe that the male brain is wired differently than the woman's brain. I believe the male's brain is bigger than the woman's brain. I believe they're completely different and they shouldn't be categorized as the same.
So does that say that trans men are males?
No.
So then why did you reference it as if I was saying that trans men are males?
Sorry, you're cutting out. Could you say that again, please?
So why did you reference it as if I said that trans men are males? I'm not saying that they are males. I'm saying that they are men. And men is a social construction.
Yeah, because I believe even socially they shouldn't be the same.
Why?
As they're two different beings.
How do you know that they're two different beings?
As I've already explained, I think trans men and men have different brains, and I think the brain makes up the being.
You think the brain makes up the being. So do you think that, like, oh my goodness. Can we fix the audio? Oh.
Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, what did I do? Oh, I made a show. Kind of fucked that, didn't I? Oh, well. Hopefully we can get someone competent up here. I simply won't deal with bad audio. It's not me being a dick. I just can't focus. Ahmed, yeah, I did. On accident. That was. Oh, no. I meant to do Ahmed, but oh well. Well, they're gone now. Yeah, I got you, Ahmed. Lobsters, yeah, true. Yo, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, bro? Can we talk about the atheist part?
Sure. Do you think you can prove the existence of God?
Well, I should probably clear this up first. Hold on, let me just close my door. I'm a Muslim. I'm not a Christian, but I can still prove the existence of God. So if we're talking just generally about God, yeah. Alright, so I have a question for you. Do you know about the theory of general relativity?
Yeah, I do.
You do. So, it was by, Einstein in his calculations about general relativity.
General relativity?
In his calculations, he realized that the universe was eternal and had a beginning. It's scientifically proven.
I don't think Einstein concluded that.
Huh?
I don't think Einstein concluded that.
No, he didn't conclude that, but he concluded his studies about general relativity. And he found out that the universe was eternal and had a beginning, scientifically speaking.
I disagree that that's not a, so sorry. We're just going to have a scientific disagreement. That's not what general relativity concludes. Also, Einstein wasn't an astrophysicist, right? He didn't engage in this type of discussion. He didn't really comment on the beginning or end of the universe. This wouldn't even be within his purview, right? But he also didn't make this conclusion.
Wait, forget about Einstein for a second. Do you know what the law of causality?
Yeah, the law of causality is a philosophic description, not necessarily a scientific description. If we want to completely pivot to a different thing, we can. But the law of causality is entirely different than the discussion of, special or general relativity.
No, it is. Literally, the law of causality states that everything that came to be needs a cause.
Yeah, but that's a philosophic rule, not a scientific rule. Can you describe the relationship between the two?
If there was the Big Bang, if there was no space, no time, no matter before the Big Bang,
That's
and
not what
it's
the big.
literally impossible for it.
That's not what the Big Bang Theory posits, though.
What is a Big Bang Theory deposit?
It posits that at one point the entire universe was a infinitely dense, infinitely small singularity that at one point began expanding.
No. Okay, so then, well, where did it come from? The
It
universe
doesn't.
is-
Wait, the Big Bang Theory itself doesn't posit an answer to that.
I don't have my computer next to me, so I don't have it by memory. But like it's the unit. Nothing could have come out of nothing. Sorry, something could not have came out of nothing.
Yeah, but that's not the position of the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is positing a conclusion at the singularity and not prior. It just doesn't comment on it. There are other theorists that talk about it, but that's not necessary, right, to the Big Bang Theory.
Alright, okay. I have a question. Do you believe that anything can exist without space, matter, and time?
Do I believe that anything can exist without space, matter, and time? It would depend how you define exist. I think I could specially define exist for that to be true.
Okay, sorry, not exist. Like, do you think any grow, maybe do you think anything can grow or thrive without space, matter, and time? Or,
Do I think
like,
anything
come
can
to-
thrive? Well, I don't know if I can comment on that because I've never seen anything or experienced anything or have any theoretical basis on which to conclude things outside of space, matter, and time.
So, without space, matter, and time, the universe would literally be impossible to exist. And that's
Well, the universe
scientific
as it exists
without
would
space.
be not. Wait, that's like saying without my name, it would be impossible for me to exist. Well, yeah, in the way that I exist currently, right? But you're just saying, well, this is an essential feature of the current universe, and if the current universe didn't have it, it wouldn't be the current universe. I just say that it would be a different universe. It would just be different. So you can't really prove that it's not possible for something to exist, or not possible for something to grow, or not possible for something to do anything without any of these things, right?
Well,
You're just
So you tell me. So you're saying that the universe was just like here for eternity. It was. Just
I haven't made a comment on that. If you want to ask me about it, you're free to, but I haven't made a comment on it.
Yeah, let me ask you about.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so I'm generally agnostic to the beginning of the world, right? But we can do a probability comparison. And I say an eternal world is conceivable. An eternal universe is conceivable. But equivalently, a universe that is either derived from a universe of different rules or derived from nothing is equally possible. By merit of nothing having nothing has no qualities, so therefore it has no quality preventing that from being true. And equally, another universe of other possibilities or other rules could exist that could spark this universe with these limitations. And equivalently, an eternal universe is conceivable as well.
Well, wait. I have a question. Wait, before I keep going, why do you not believe in God?
Because I have no evidence for him. I have no good reason to believe in God, so I don't.
But like, is there a specific reason, or just because there's no evidence?
Yeah,
Like,
because there's no evidence.
Because there's no evidence.
That's what agnostic atheists believe, yeah.
Sorry. Well, okay, it's my bad. But I have a question for you. So, if the universe, so you're saying, but it's literally impossible for the universe to came out of nothing, and people could say the same thing about God, which like they say, well, where did God come from, or blah blah blah. That's what I'm saying. There needs to be a personal entity or a personal
Prove that.
force or higher being, a personal force or higher being that cannot have been caused by something. It just had to be
Prove that it had to be
there.
personal.
Not personal, like
You said that it had to be. You said that it had to be personal. Do you believe that?
yeah.
So prove that it had to be
personal
personal.
Right, but personal entity meaning that it had to be capable of existing out of time, space. and
Personal
time.
has a
Like,
very specific meaning. Personal means like
Okay,
being
no,
composed as a
an
person.
entity,
Okay.
An entity that is capable of existing out of time, space, and matter. That's
Okay,
what I was
great.
trying to say.
I don't disagree that that's possible. I disagree that that would aptly prove God. I don't think you're describing, like, do you really just think God is anything outside of this universe?
Well, what is it? Is it an alien?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, that's not even what you believe God to be.
No. Well, no. I'm asking you. Okay, so if it
It's
existed outside
it's
of
your
this
belief. I don't think I'm just trying to make you argue what you actually believe rather than what you think you can defend. Like, God obviously isn't just anything outside of this universe. Equally, we don't have evidence of anything outside of this universe. We can't. The intuitive or the inductive reasoning just doesn't follow. But secondarily, even if you could prove that it was more likely than not that something existed outside of this universe, I think both you and I would agree that that doesn't conclude the God debate. That doesn't conclude that God existed, right? Like,
That's true.
exactly. So argue something. So argue a conclusion that would conclude the debate.
That God is real.
Yeah. So define God in such a way that you think you can prove, right? And a genuine way that is actually representative of what you think God is.
Alright. Who do you think gave you free will or like a consciousness?
I don't have evidence.
Why are you like an animal? Why aren't you a bear? Or like why don't you have the brain of a bear or a deer or a I don't know, a cat? Who gave you the ability to free will? Like who gave you the ability to just do whatever you want? Or I don't know.
Truly so many things here. So first of all, I don't have evidence that I have free will. Free will as a concept is a bit innocuous to me. Secondarily,
Yes.
so I don't have evidence that I have free will. Secondarily, I don't really have evidence that animals don't have free will. So nothing really didn't make me an animal. I am an animal. Humans are of the great ape species, or of the great ape genus.
What do you think gave you a consciousness?
I don't think something needed to have given me a consciousness any more than something needed to have given me arms, right? They developed naturally and they grew naturally. Thank you. Oh, by the way, I do need to do a bit of an annoying creator thing. Thank you to everyone sending likes. Thank you to the person that sent gifts. That really is appreciated and does boost the live is the main thing. TikTok is not a fan of me right now. So they're throttling my viewership, which I appreciate so much. But what we can do is move off of TikTok. So follow my YouTube if you don't already. And do like up this live and do follow my backups, which are linked in somewhere. They're in my bio. Please do that, and I'll love you forever. But yeah, like back to your question, what did you want to ask me?
No, I was just saying, like, it's very hard to believe that something came out of, like, something was always eternal. Like, if I looked at this pencil right in front of me and I said, well, this was just always here. This, like, no one created this, right?
Have you ever seen any matter come into existence?
Is that example for anything?
Have you ever seen any matter come into existence? Have you ever seen any matter come into existence?
No.
Have you ever seen any matter go out of existence?
No.
Great. So how is it hard for you to believe that things didn't go in or out of existence when that's all you've ever seen?
Well, can you say that about God? Like,
No.
what I'm trying to say is, like,
No, you cannot.
no, yeah, well, if you're saying that just because we've never seen anything in and out of existence, well, why can't I say, well, just because I didn't see the universe come into existence, like, what? I could
The
just say
difference is I'm saying everything you have ever seen leads you to one conclusion. And what you're saying is everything I have ever seen does not lead me to this conclusion, so I'm going to believe it. You understand the difference? Is I'm saying you've never seen matter come into existence, so you can't conclude that it's irrational for matter to come out of existence. You're saying, I've never seen God create anything, therefore I'm just going to conclude that he created something. They're entirely the opposite. Like, you seem to have misunderstood my argument to such a drastic degree that you think that it supports precisely what it's debunking.
Well, okay, wait, I have a question. Have you ever seen gravity?
I've seen gravity function. So gravity is a rule, and I've seen that rule be true.
Okay, well,
Because I've
I could
observed
say,
it to
like,
be true.
Okay.
So
but
you
yes,
continued
I
the
see.
syllogism that
Yes,
apologists
yes, yes,
you continued the syllogism that apologists told you to continue without hearing my answer. Gravity is a rule, and I've seen evidence for that rule to be true. Right?
Right.
So that's why I believe in it.
Okay, but you haven't seen gravity itself, just like God. You haven't seen God itself, but you've seen the functions of God, which is
So
us.
what's the evidence of God existing?
The evidence of God existing? What no, sorry, I was gonna say about the Quran is a miracle itself. If you look at the Quran, there are scientific evidence in the Quran. That
Great, let's do that, because this would actually be convincing. Tell me the evidence in the Quran that is better explained by a God existing than any other explanation. Let's do it. Give me one.
Well, the Quran itself first was a miracle. Like the book.
No,
itself.
that's the claim, right? But that's not the fact. I need you to prove that to me.
Well, okay. Okay, fine. I'll give you text from inside of the Quran.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe 1,400 years ago, humans in the Quran, they said that they were explaining what happens in the womb with sperm, fetus. They were explaining.
Great, so
what
can you give me the
happens.
surah that says this?
Huh?
Can you give me the surah that says this?
I have my Quran right. Hold
So
on.
what does it say? So I've heard this claim from hundreds of Muslim apologists, and it's always been made up, okay? The way that the Quran describes the insemination of eggs is medically inaccurate. You can interpret it to be medically accurate, but the most reasonable interpretation of it is not medically accurate. Okay? Great. Also to the person on YouTube, because I'm looking, gravity is a law, not a rule. A law is a rule. A mathematical equation is a rule as well. Things can be multiple things. So I appreciate you commenting on that. But it kind of still holds. So Ahmed,
Don't you find it a little bit? Don't you? Okay, but it was 1,400 years ago, so they're not going to give you an exact medical statement.
it was God. It was God. He should give me an exact medical statement. It's the most powerful being ever. Yes, I would expect God to be correct.
Whoa. It wasn't God. It was a Prophet Muhammad that was writing the Bible. That was writing the Quran.
Where did he get the information?
It wasn't God himself. It wasn't God himself that wrote the Quran.
But it was God as transcribed or as derived from another person. So he had his information. He had his information right from God. Okay.
Yeah.
So if the information's from God, I expect it to be correct. I think that's really simple.
Well, it is correct.
Then give me the verse, baby. Give me the verse. You had like 2 minutes like offline. You went, for everyone who can't see, right? Whenever he has that little coffee cup on his thing, that's him searching it, and you took a second to search it, and it still didn't show up. You know why? Because the surah that says this is not correct. I'll pull it up. Okay, so surah talking about babies coming from clots of blood. Okay. So the reason then we make the sperm drop into a clinging clot, and we make the clot into a lump of flesh, and we make from the lump bones, and we cover the bones with flesh, and then we develop him into another creation. So that's the surah that you're looking for, Ahmed. The thing about that surah is that it's wrong. Is we don't make the sperm drop into a cling clot. The sperm drop doesn't become anything. It's one sperm within it that attaches to a woman's egg, right? That then develops into something that does cling, right? And then we develop some flesh, right? But we don't develop the bones prior to the flesh, right? We actually develop the flesh typically prior to the bones, okay? So most things about this sentence is wrong.
But I'm not talking about. Okay, if this was what like 100 years ago, that's fine. This is 1400 years ago. So there's a.
It's still God. You understand that? If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's wrong, it's not God. God knows his own creation, right? So the information should be correct. I'm saying even in this simplistic of language, there are better ways to describe it. God knew that, right? So God does not get something wrong like this.
Okay, but all right, hold on. So I have a question for you. Like, first of all, I'm not a sheikh, so like you should. I'm not gonna. I feel like like I'm obviously like, you could tell like I'm not the most educated on Islam, but I will say this. What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong and I'm right?
What if you're wrong and I'm right? What if you're wrong and Christians are right? What if you're wrong and Hindus are right? What if you're wrong and Zoroasters are right?
Exactly. Hold up.
You die and burn in hell forever. That's what happens, right? And so do I. I'm just believing in one less God than you are, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I believe in the worst conceivable God. I believe in the God that offers the worst possible punishment. And he only avoids that punishment for the people that believe in him. Are you part of my religion now?
What? Say that again. Sorry,
Let's say I make up blah-blah-ism, which is of the worst conceivable possible God. And the only way that you avoid that worst conceivable possible ending in the torture, right, is by believing in him. He promises that it is worse than your God's torture. Do you believe in blah-blah-ism?
No.
Great. So this logic, right, okay, let's just believe in whatever prevents the most hypothetical pain doesn't actually hold, right? You can make up a threat, but it doesn't actually hold. I can make up whatever I want as well.
Well, like, I have a question for you, bro. Forget about physics. Forget about everything real quick. If you're struggling with something, or like you feel sad, don't you like feel depressed, like you don't have anyone to go to, and then there's just
No, I have plenty of people to go to.
Okay, assume you didn't.
Then I would go out and try to find humans to speak to, right? Or I would mend a relationship with myself. Or I would consult like people that actually know how to address this. I agree that religion can find solace for some people, but lots of things can give solace to lots of people, right? Doesn't mean that they're correct.
So how many Christians are there? There's like what 1.2 or 2 billion Christians, right? And Islam isn't too like different from Christianity. When you look at like Orthodox Christianity and Islam isn't too different. Like we just have some different opinions on Jesus. Anyway, that's besides the topic. What I'm trying to say is, if a Muslim is right and you're wrong, we're gonna just waste our whole lives praying, doing stuff, and we're just gonna die, and there's gonna be nothing left. But if you're wrong, right, you're going to hell.
I'm going to waste my life trying to make myself and other people like me as happy as I possibly can. You're going to spend your life trying to appease a made-up God, right? So I think, right, first of all, this doesn't matter. Because as I showed, we don't base our beliefs off of what prevents the most hypothetical harm. You already conceded to this, okay? So you don't actually believe this. But even if it was true, right, I think that you are wasting your time, and I am not. I have a limited time on Earth, and so do you. And if I'm correct, okay, then what I'm trying to do is trying to make that limited time on Earth the best for me and others like me and others I care about and others across the board. That's what secular humanism does. You spent time trying to appease a delusion, right, at the cost of millions of other people, because that's what religion has done. It has hurt millions of other people. It's not like, oh, it's really innocuous. No, it's literally killed millions of people. So the blood is not on my hands, right? The blood is on yours.
Well, Islam has it. That's the whatever you see on like whatever you see like ISIS, like those.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, all religions have hurt people before. Atheists have hurt people before. But very rarely do you see atheists saying, I'm an atheist, let's go out and unalive people, right? But you know what we see often? Religious people doing it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have a question for you. Do you think like Islam was made by man?
Kind of.
Well, why does does it go against the desires of man?
I don't think it goes against the desires of certain men.
Well, it kind of does. In Islam, you're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to eat most things. You're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to sex before marriage. You're not.
No, I know, but this is a common quality of a lot of religions. So this obviously isn't enough to justify your belief, because you don't accept it in other religions. Christianity has basically the same preachings. So does Judaism. So does Hinduism. So does Buddhism, especially. Buddhism is entirely oriented around denying, is anti-materialist. But the point is, right, I mean, we can do a whole entire discussion about why I think that Islam and other organized religions was created. But it's entirely reasonable that, like, anti-materialism, right, is actually, like, makes people happier. And equally, it makes people easier to control. And I think I view religion as in quite large part, as meant to control and, quell people.
All I gotta say is, bro, you cool as hell, bro. But, like, you got some good points. But,
I appreciate it.
Honestly, I feel like I don't have enough knowledge, bro. I think you gotta talk to someone more educated than me.
Well, I appreciate it.
But, like, it was bro.
Thank you.
You chill as hell.
Oh my, why am I getting, okay, Ahmed, I'll let you down. Thank you, D. Craig, by the way. I really appreciate it. Thank you to D. Craig as well as everyone sending gifts. They really helped the live, and we're gonna see if we can get a good debate going. We're getting good debates right now. We have 10 people on the YouTube right now. Hi, YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. I hate being like a boomer talking to the YouTube, but we live on. Thank you so much, D. Craig. I appreciate it. What's up, Chris?
What's up?
What'd you send a guest request to disagree on? Yeah. I am considered an atheist, yes.
Why is this?
Because I observe no evidence for a God, and therefore I don't believe in one.
You don't believe in a God?
Yes.
So what do you believe in, like?
I believe in the least possible.
How did we just end up here?
So I believe in the least possible that explains the most possible.
Huh?
I believe in the least possible that explains the most possible.
You lost me, bro. Like, do you believe in the Big Bang? Like,
I mean,
what's your reason?
it's not really believing. I observe evidence for the Big Bang, and therefore I believe it, yeah. So I believe things that I observe evidence for. I mean, the only thing that I believe unjustifiedly, if that's what you're asking, is that I can trust that which I observe.
Okay. So you don't believe that there was a man named Jesus that came down 2,000 years ago and died for our sins?
So the historical evidence seems to suggest that Jesus did exist. Also, you're getting background noises. Could you put in headphones or something?
I'm in the car right now, so I don't know.
Are you driving?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So wonderful. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything we can do about the background noise? At all? But other than that, yeah. So I think.
All I need to say.
Okay.
Is Jesus loves you, and you can repent and go to heaven if you do good acts.
I'm happy for you that manipulative. I'm happy that manipulative tactic worked on you, Chris, but it won't work on me. So enjoy your life. Let's see. Yo, what's up?
Yeah, I disagree about man's transitions, let's say. But first of all, sorry for my English.
You disagree with what, transgender people?
Yeah,
Why?
I just have a question for you.
Yeah, sure. What's up?
How can trans people ask other people to accept them as they are, but they couldn't accept themselves for being what they were born with?
Fascinating. So they are accepting themselves for what they are, and then they're correcting the external. But they are though. So okay. You're not interested in an answer. So what they're doing is they are accepting themselves for what they are, and then they're displaying that to people. So once again, you can continue to say you're not saying anything of value. So what I'm saying so okay. So do you think that people that okay? So do you want an answer? Would you like an answer?
A short one.
You don't get to dictate that. I get more than one sentence. I hope you understand that. So, as I was saying, I wouldn't say that people who wear glasses are not accepting themselves for who they are. No. I wouldn't say that people that wear makeup are not accepting themselves. I wouldn't say that people that dye their hair are not accepting themselves, right? I would say that trans people are properly men or properly women, whatever they are, right? And then they're presenting that to the world and asking you to accept it because it's true.
Do you understand my question?
Yeah, your question's inaccurate though. I understand your question, but the question the question has a hidden premise. So the question has a hidden premise. So the question that you asked me was why they should be able to ask other people to respect and accept who they are when they can't accept who they are. But you conflated who they are and who they were born as, right? Which is not true, right? I was born, so let's say for example, I was an immigrant into the UK. And I wasn't born as a United Kingdom citizen. One second. And I wasn't born as a United Kingdom citizen. One sec. I know. I'm aware. But you'll understand it. So,
You're making no sense.
okay, well, I'm not making sense because you haven't let me finish the analogy. So, for example, I was born as an Great. So I was born as an American citizen. But when I come over here and live here for 10 years, I hope that people would accept me as a British citizen as well. What we are at birth is not what we are destined to be forever, or isn't even accurately what we are always. So you're conflating the two things is incorrect and fallacious.
That should be forever.
Disagree. I was born as a baby. I don't think I should stay as a baby. I wasn't born as an adult, but I'd hope people observe me as an adult. Yeah, your point's wrong. See, I'm glad you're laughing at your own point, right? You think that that's a point.
You can use no logic, man. Here, if you were born as a female, you have to accept yourself as a female, not just think about it anytime. Oh, I should change to a male. Let's do that. And
Well, that's not what trans people are saying.
but they couldn't accept themselves and ask other people to accept them. How
Great. So they're not saying that they're so females are not saying that they would be males. What they're saying is that they would be men. Oh no, he left. What a great loss to the intellectual abilities of the TikTok debatosphere. Okie dokie, everyone. I'm just gonna have to do my plug one more time. This makes me feel like I am on the radio. Do follow me, and please do follow my YouTube. My YouTube is linked to my bio, and there are 10 people on my YouTube currently. Shout out to all 10 people. And y'all should go watch me on YouTube because that's what I'm speaking into right now is my YouTube mic, and you can hear me better. YouTube, I think you can hear me better, I hope. All right. Lovely, lovely, lovely. If you disagree with me, do send a guest request. Otherwise, don't. Also, hello, Dean. Lovely to see you in the audience.
Hello.
Hi, what's up?
Hi, mate. How are you? Yeah. So I disagree with the trans men are men statement that you're making.
Why?
All right. So to start things off, when you say trans men are men, are you saying that if a born woman transitioned to a man, are you saying that then she becomes, then that person's a woman?
a born woman transitions to a man, then they are a woman? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah, is that what you're saying?
No.
So she stays as, so she's a woman then?
Well, so you asked me, if a born woman transitions to a man, do they stay as a woman? Right, and I said no.
Yeah.
Which would naturally mean, which would then mean that she's a man.
Still as a woman.
So if she what does it mean to transition as a man, other than identifying that way? Also, thank you so much for the Demi raid. Shout out to Demi, much love. Thank you everyone coming on from a Demi raid. I'm also live on YouTube if you want to go watch that. Click the link in the bio, and it has better Wi-Fi. It has better audio. So what do you mean she transitioned to a man and then she
So basically, if you're born a woman and then you transition over to a man, then you are then a trans. If you're born a woman and transition to a man, you are a trans man. You are not a man. Do you get what I mean?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but it continues to be wrong. So a trans man is a man. That's the whole point. A trans is an adjective.
Yeah, but sorry, I may be getting this wrong. Is a trans man a woman that transitioned to a man?
Yes.
Okay, well then that's where I disagree. Do you get what I mean? Basically, how if a woman transitions to a man, she's a transgender, but she's not actually a man, is she? She's not.
I would say that
born
she
a woman.
is actually a man. You don't have to be born something to be it.
Well, yes, you do, babes.
So do I have to be
Basically,
one second. Do I have to be born an adult to be an adult?
Well, come on, mate. That's just.
So what you said
was
was wrong. Do I have to be born a graduate of high school to be a graduate of high school? No. Like, obviously what you're saying is stupid. If it's so stupid that I can point to literally anything, right, for that to be untrue, then, you're wrong.
All right, babe. Let me ask you this then: is a tiger born a bear? Sorry, if a born tiger wants to be a bear, does that make him a bear then, mate?
So do I believe that you can transition species? No.
All right, and are we not species then?
Are trans people attempting to transition species? No.
Well, hang on a minute, babes. Human beings are species, aren't they? So how?
What species? One second.
A tiger's
If we're gonna have this argument, I need to know you know what you're talking about. What species are human beings?
Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens sapiens, yeah. Great. Are trans people trying to not be Homo sapiens?
Are trans people trying? Well, they are. Do you get what I mean?
Give me a single trans person.
Give
Give me a single trans person that is attempting to not be a Homo sapien.
Okay, I can change the analogy for you. Can a single type of cat transition to a different type of cat? No, they can't.
Because
they
types
are
of
one
cat,
type
I don't believe in transitionary between types of cat. Yeah, this is really simple. Some social labels are self-identification or primarily referential to identification, and some are not. I would say religion is a social label that is primarily determined by self-identification. Nationality is in part determined by self-identification. Ethnicity is not determined by self-identification. All of these are social labels that exist on a gradient between things that can and cannot be determined by self-identification. All I'm saying is that gender is one that can be determined by self-identification.
Okay, so you are saying that you're telling me that if a man transitions to a woman, then he is then a woman, correct? That's what you're saying.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say that she would then be a woman, in that she doesn't have to transition even. She just has to identify and orient herself towards being a woman, and therefore she is a woman.
So this is just a small point before I get into my main analogy. So if I identify as a water bottle, am I then a water bottle?
No, because being a water bottle is not primarily referential to identity. whereas gender is.
Yeah, but then, surely if I want to identify as that, surely I can then identify.
So if I identify... Okay, so here's the thing. Clearly some things are just referential to your ideas or your identity. So if I accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior into my heart, and I identify as a Christian, am I a Christian?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, what if I then turn around and recognize Muhammad as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Allah as the one true God? Then am I Muslim?
Yeah, but yes, you are. But obviously, in religion,
Wonderful.
you can't really transition.
But you can though. You can.
That.
It's called converting. You can convert religion.
Okay, fine. Yeah, do you know what? I agree with you. You know, fair point. I agree with you there.
So
However,
here's the important part. You need to tell me, right? Because you don't need to pull out the Matt Walsh right-wing talking points, right? I'm just not going to respect that because it's obviously stupid. It's obviously wrong, right? So what you need to tell me is why gender is not this way, rather than suggesting stupidly that nothing is this way, because clearly things are like this.
Yeah, of course. So listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. So you were making a point about converting, making the transition to different religions. Let me tell you something, mate. In religion, there is only one truth. The same way in gender, there's only one truth. You can't transition. You're born a man, or you're either born a woman. The same way that if you believe in Christianity, that Christianity is the truth. The same way if you believe in Islam, Islam is truth. Same way if you believe, in Judaism, Judaism is truth. There is only one truth.
Okay.
If you're born a woman, you are then a woman. I'm not saying you can't transition to. You can do what you want, babes. You can transition to a man, transition to a spaceship. To get what I mean, it's not my business. But it does not change the fact that you are still a woman, born a woman.
My point is the underlying fact. This is begging the question, though. I'm asking you to prove the fact, and you're referencing the fact, right? So what I'm suggesting is that the concept of man or woman is referential to things other than just your biological sex. Did you understand that that's what I was suggesting?
No, I understand that.
Great, so let's not ignore that. That's really important. You need to justify to me that gender, man or woman, or non-binary, etc., is only referential to biology, which cannot be changed. And I don't think you can do that.
Okay, mate. Well, I believe that you cannot. Biology obviously can't be changed.
We're not suggesting it can be. Let's just really sit down. If you repeat that again, I'm just going to believe you're a troll because you seem to be. I'm not suggesting that the biology can be changed, even though there is an argument for that. Tell me why gender is only referential to biology, because I don't believe that to be the linguistic fact.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna answer the question. Okay, so a woman or a man they have certain body parts when they are born. Regardless if you transition, it does not. Of course you can.
So you're just referencing. I'm going to stop you there again, because you're just referencing the biology, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
Great. So I asked you to prove to me that these words only referenced biology. Can you do that?
Sorry, say that again, please.
Can you prove that these words, man and woman, only reference biology? Because that's not the definition that is documented in basically any dictionary or medical association's handbook, ever, within the past 10 years. So explain that to me.
Okay. You can't tell me that regardless if it's in the dictionary or you know what I mean, any documentation.
Well, I'm gonna believe the Oxford Language Dictionary, Slay Oxford, well before I believe you, unless you give me a reason to believe you. So give me a reason to believe that man and woman are only biological, as you're suggesting, even though that's not how basically anyone understands the term.
Okay, so if you're walking down the street and you see we are going to assume a woman. You know, we can tell, you know, obviously they've got the breasts, etc. You know, the long hair, no facial hair. When you walk past her, are you going to assume that is a woman or a man?
Here's what I'm going to ask. Are you going to make that determination based only on biological characteristics?
Well, of course. Well, listen, obviously, if you're walking down the middle of the street and you see someone with long hair, breasts...
No, based only on biological characteristics. So if I see someone and all I see of them is that they're wearing a dress, what am I going to assume about their gender?
Well, no, obviously, a man can even wear a dress if you want.
But what am I going to assume about their gender?
You can listen. If you see a man wearing a dress,
Answer my question. If I see
what was the
someone,
question?
why did you not hear the question that I asked twice?
So I'm not gonna lie to you. Sky Internet is not the greatest. Do you get what I mean? It's it's a bit on. You know, it's a provider internet in the UK.
No, I know. I live in the UK.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, well, you just sound American to get what I say. You know,
I am American, but I live in the UK, so I go to school here.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
So, my question is, if you see someone and the only information you gain from seeing them, is that they're wearing a dress, what are you going to assume about their gender?
That they are a woman.
Great. So we determine gender not only based on biological characteristics. So then gender is not merely determined by biological characteristics. Great. I'm glad that we agree. So your suggestion that gender is only determined by biological characteristics, you yourself disagree with.
Okay, I'm not saying that. Okay, fine. You know, I understand the point that you're making. I'm not telling you that you can. Let's just say that we can't see the person. Let's just say that there's a curtain in between you and a person. Okay, let's just say that you can't see the person, you can't hear them, you know what I mean. Let's just say that the only way you are able to identify that person is through their characteristics, like what they wear, what music they listen to, etc. I'm not saying you can't make that assumption. A man can Barbie can be his favorite movie. He can listen to Ice Spice all he wants. He can wear, you know what I mean? He can wear as many dresses as he likes. That's fine. Do you get what I mean? That's fine. So obviously, if I heard that coming from the other side, I'd assume that would be a woman. Of course, if their favorite color is pink, I'd assume that would be a woman. However, once the curtain's revealed, and then I see a man, I would just think, okay, it's a man. He just has feminine traits. That's what the trait is.
That's very cool.
Traits, that's fine.
Great. So all I'm saying is that these definite. So when we say feminine traits or masculine traits, right? All I'm saying is that within everyday speech, we refer to people that identify with masculine or feminine traits as men or women. And that's a fine understanding of the term, and you're not actually disproving this at all. So can you tell me why it's a wrong understanding of the term?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Can you repeat what exactly I did not understand?
You didn't tell me why I didn't understand the term correctly. You just reiterated your understanding of the term. Make an argument.
But can you repeat the question that you are...
Literally make any argument. Make an argument for why you're right. Like, you're not making an argument for why you're right. Right? All you're saying is, well, I think that they're men. Cool. I know. All you're saying is, well, I think that they're women. Cool. I know. Everyone disagrees with you. Every medical organization disagrees with you. Every dictionary disagrees with you. Give me a reason to agree with you. Other than, I think this. Just stop reiterating the claim, right? And just say the argument for why I should believe it to be true.
Okay, that's fine. Listen, what is a woman exactly? Not in your, what is in factual reality? What is a woman?
There are a series of definitions that accurately describe woman.
Okay. Oh, all right, babes. Okay.
And I'm happy to give you one of them. Do you want one of them?
Of course, yeah. That's
Great.
fine,
So at
yeah.
least one accurate definition is a person who identifies with the social construction within their society, composed of feminine characteristics, right? And feminine characteristics being described as social characteristics associated with females.
Okay, but you're just telling me the character that, yeah, of course you can have.
So that's one definition. Give me a reason not to believe it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, babes. Listen, you can have feminine, masculine characteristics. It's fine, but does it make you factually? Does it make you in reality? Does it make you a woman?
According to that definition, it does. Give me a reason to not believe that definition.
Because that definition is not true.
Why? Why is it not true?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. Because I can make I can make up a definition, a made-up definition. Because that definition, you can make up any definition. I'm gonna make a.
Do you know how we determine? Okay. Do you know how we determine between valid and invalid definitions?
Yeah, if the source is valid, if it's credible, of course.
No, but what? How does Oxford Languages determine what the definition is?
I'm not. I've got no clue, babes.
Okay, then don't debate definitions.
You can't. Hold on a minute, mate. This is where you get the ball a bit twisted. Get what I mean? Listen.
Wait, if you don't know why a definition is true or false, right, then you can't tell me why I should believe a definition is true or false. Like, that's so obvious. It's so obvious that if you have no good reason to believe, if you're like, well, I don't know how they believe that this definition is true or false, right, well, then don't argue it, because you have no reason. The thing I've been trying to pull out of you, right, is the thing that you just admitted you didn't know, which is why any given definition is true or false. So don't debate things that you can't prove.
Okay, okay. Can a trans man have female body part? Can he have a vagina? Can he have ovaries? Can he get pregnant?
Some can.
Okay, what on earth is going on?
Trans men? Pre-transition trans men typically do have ovaries.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, sorry. I mean, if a man transitions to a woman, my fault, mate. If a man transitions to a woman, can he then become pregnant? Do you get what I mean? He can't. He can't.
Some can. I mean, intersex men that transition to women can, sometimes.
Goodness gracious me, we've got an issue. Okay. Can you explain to me how that's possible?
Well, an intersex person with functional ovaries that was assigned man at birth could then transition to being a woman, still having ovaries and identifying as a woman.
Okay, can you name me one person that has transitioned to a woman when he was born a man and he's been pregnant?
I mean, no. Can you name me?
Okay,
can you name me a single trans person?
Oh gosh, what's his name? Down in Queen Mary's University. I've seen. I mean, to be honest, I don't really. Hang around with the trans.
Great, then don't ask me for shit, because you can't even name a single trans person. So, like, this isn't about naming people, it's about discussing hypotheticals, isn't it?
Okay, but you can always see a trans man walking down the streets of London, but you never in the entire. I think me and you have both seen trans men and trans women, but we have never in the whole globalization have we ever seen a man transition to a woman and become pregnant, because it's impossible.
Well, I mean, I gave you a situation where it could be. But are you saying that typically they can't? No, typically trans men can't trans women can't give birth. Fine, cool. Okay, ability to give birth does not define your womanhood. I think everyone would agree on that.
No, but you can't say typically, because it's just factually impossible. You cannot. A man does not have the what's the name? They don't have the body parts to become that. It's literally impossible.
As I said, some can. Intersex men can. Do you know what an intersex man is?
Sophia, give me a second. Let me turn off this alarm. Okay.
It's auditory hell.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah, so what were you saying?
So, do you deny that intersex people exist?
No, I believe. Listen,
Great.
I
So then
believe-
what you're saying is just incorrect, because intersex men can sometimes, have the ability to give birth.
But no, well, okay. How can you've just told me that never ever have you seen or heard of a man transitioning into a woman to become pregnant. So how can you say you can't say that then they can get pregnant if you haven't even once heard or seen anyone that's become pregnant from going from a man to a woman? It's literally impossible. It can't be.
Well, the fact that I can't
Why
give
don't
you an
they not-
example of them doesn't mean that it's not possible. I described the methods by which it could be. But once again, the fact, your ability to give birth,
yeah,
once again,
describe me. Sorry about that, mate.
the ability to give birth does not define womanhood. You and I both know that. And you can't even prove to me, okay? You cannot even prove to me that your understanding of what a woman is true. You admitted that. You cannot prove to me that your definition of woman is true. I can go through proofs that mine is if you want it, but you aren't going to accept them because you have no counter-argument to them. So if you have no good reason for me to believe that your understanding of a woman is true, what do we have to discuss?
Okay, you're telling me that the ability to give birth doesn't necessarily represent womanhood.
Nope,
Okay.
obviously not. My mother cannot give birth right now. Doesn't make her any less of a woman.
Yeah, because she was born a woman. You came from her. So of course she's going to be a woman. Okay, typically, women can give birth. Typically, a man's sperm...
Actually, most women cannot give birth, currently.
Oh, goodness gracious. Did you just tell me that most women can't give birth? So, you know what? Okay, so where in the universe have you seen that?
So if we're talking about women being a biological sex, right, so females, most women, right, fall either within 45, beyond, right, when they typically have menopause, or are prior to sexual maturity, right, and therefore can't give birth, or are infertile in some way, or have been infertilized. It's a fun little statistic, isn't it? But most women, at least in the female understanding, not talking about adult women, if you take children out of it, it doesn't continue to be true. But if you include children, most women cannot give birth.
That has got to be one of the... Listen, I never have I... Sorry, mate, I don't mean to be, disrespectful, but, if you're going to go and say that the majority of women can't give birth, so how on earth is the earth, how on earth is the world running, to get what I mean? Most women can give birth. There is a minority of women that cannot give birth.
It's just incorrect, isn't it? Because most women are not within birth giving. Well, most women are, but then if you take away infertile women, which is a huge amount of women, most people cannot actively give birth. That's just not true.
Okay, so if you were to give me on a percentage scale on how many women can't give birth, can you give that to me?
I could get the specific numbers up if you wanted, right? Do you want me to?
Yeah, if you don't mind, and also, if you can give me the source, the title.
So let's look at people that are let's look at the World
That was
Health
mine.
Organization data on this. I'm still good.
Do you mind if I do some ASMR in the background so I can entertain, the viewers. Is that all right?
No, I would mind that. I'm also not going to spend forever on this.
Okay, that's
Because I can't quite
That's
find.
fine.
Oh yeah, okay. So it is a quite slim margin, right? I believe the World Health Organization estimates that about 51% of women fall within birth-giving age. So that's 15 to 49, right? Due to several factors.
Yeah, do you mind sending me the... Okay, so what's the title of that?
So that's World Health Organization, Global Progress in Satisfying the Need for Family Planning. And then we can look at the percentage of women that are infertile of reproductive age, and that's about 11% of women have fertility problems at the very least. And that's the National Institute of Child Health. So I think the point here is that the typicality of a given thing is not true. If you want to say most women are going to be able to or were able to, so just for everyone who did the math, 51% of them are of reproductive age and 11% of those within reproductive age are infertile. Okay? So what would that make it? Roughly 46% of them are fertile actively, which is not majority. So for all of you being like, oh, your data, your numbers go against it. Oh, blah, 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 blah. No, do the math again, babes.
Okay, give me a second there, babe brownies. If I just go off the app, I think you're going to be able to hear me. So give me a second while I just check the source. Give me about a minute. Is that all right?
Sure.
Thank you. Give me a second.
So, everyone do this. So this is 11% of women of reproductive age have fertility issues. Okay? And then if roughly 51% of them are of reproductive age, what does that make it? Less than 50% are of age and of fertile. That's 46%.
Hang on a minute, mate. Listen. So I might be wrong. I've just checked it now. So it says in the United States of America, 9% of men are infertile, 11% of women are infertile. Have fertility issues.
Yeah. What's the really important qualifier there? Of reproductive age.
Sorry, let me just give me a second, mate. Give me 1 second, babes.
This is my whole point. This is why the statistic surprises everyone. How much more clear do I have to make this? Not much more clear. And also, yeah, I don't know if the statistic does that, but... So if we include all women, right, including children, then this statistic holds.
I've just checked one statistic. It says globally, 17.5% of adults have problems. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a large amount of people, but it does not make the majority.
Once again,
John,
what's the really important qualifier there?
No, it's not. Okay, give me a second. Go on, mate.
Okay, we can also just reference Statistica. 25% of the world is under 15 years of age, and 10% are over 65 years of age. So that's about 35%, right? Which would roughly, and then if we go down to 55, that would roughly match the World Health Organization numbers. So.
All right, mate. So you've just said the fertility age. What age would that be?
That would be 15 to 50. That would be 15 to 45, roughly.
And you're telling me that women between the ages of 15 to 45, the majority of them can't give birth?
No, that's not what I said. What I said is that if we include all women, right, including children and older people, right?
That makes sense.
I know. This is what I said at the beginning.
Women that are above the age of 45 can't give birth, and obviously, you know, any female that is 0 to 15 years old, they are considered a fully grown woman.
I know, that was my point. If you had listened to my point in the beginning, we could have avoided this whole thing.
I know, but
And as a reward to all of my viewers, the person with the mics is on my YouTube. So please, we have 18 people on the YouTube, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you to everyone on it. Thank you to everyone who's being so lovely on YouTube. But you do have better audio, and you have access to other content. Wow, crazy. So YouTube is in my bio. Please do go follow it so that we can maintain my following, even when TikTok inevitably comes after me and is not a fan. So shout out to all of you. Much love, slay the day. So back to you, caller. That's what I said. So you just spent a while being annoying, and then you ended up agreeing with precisely what I said. So thank you.
No, I'm disagreeing with you. You told me your original point was that giving birth does not represent womanhood necessarily, and then
yes, I did.
Saying, okay, because the majority of women, yeah, they can't give birth. Okay, I understand the point.
So that's what I said then. So that's what I said. What are you saying? That's what I said. So you agree. Most women, if we include children, right, and older people, cannot give birth. That's what I said. And now you agree with me. And then you're like, well, yeah, duh, that agrees with. In what world are you disagreeing with me?
Obviously, if you are too old or if you're too young, you can't.
Yes, because what I said was obviously true. Me saying something that's obviously true doesn't make it not true.
Okay, but that's the biology of a woman.
Yeah, great. Exactly. It's still true. So you're just agreeing with me. So you agree with me. So you agree with me.
Okay, listen. The thing I disagree with, alright? This proves my point now.
So then what I said was true.
If a man transitions to a woman, he can't get pregnant. Do you know what I mean?
And what I said very clearly was being able actively to give pregnant is not the defining feature of being a woman, because then most women wouldn't be women.
Yeah, so listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie, mate. There is biology of a woman and there's biology of a man. Okay, the man can have the biology
This doesn't prove anything. This doesn't prove what I actually... This has totally irrelevant to the entire point that's being made. You're dumb. Like, what you're saying is nonsense. Because, once again, you're just defining man in a certain way. I agree that male and female, right, are valid sexes that exist in the world. That's not lost on me, okay? What I'm saying is that man and woman have a different understanding other than that, okay? The other thing is you kept pointing to a very specific sexual characteristic, fertility and ability to get pregnant. And what I said is fertility cannot define sex because, then how would we define sex at birth, right? They're not fertile at birth, right? That's nonsense.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. Would you, for pregnancy, what's the word? Would you link pregnancy to born women or born men?
Would I link pregnancy to born women or born men?
So if you hear the word pregnancy, are you going to essentially think of a man or a woman?
I'm gonna think female first. Then I might think woman.
Okay. Okay, it's like...
The two words are associated. I don't doubt that the two words are associated. I'm just saying female is more apt in this conversation than woman is.
Okay, then there we are. So we are getting somewhere now. So you've just told me, right, that you would link pregnancy to a female. Okay. Now, why wouldn't you link it to a man
What?
or a male?
A male? Because males typically can't give birth.
Okay. And what do you mean by typically? Because it's
Because
impossible for them to give birth.
that's not true. So, I mean, intersex males have been able to give birth.
Okay, can you name me one person?
No.
Okay, so how can you
But
say
you're gonna get you're getting triggered over typically. I mean, it's just a medical fact. I mean, the AMA and APA just both note this. Do you know what the AMA is?
No, I don't, mate, no.
I don't know why you're talking about medical issues if you don't know what the American Medical Association is.
Because you could be 5 years old and you could and you could be able to differentiate between a man and a woman. To go on, I don't know where this ideology. Listen, you can.
The American Medical Association is what says this.
Okay, well then the American Medical Association is a bunch of bollocks, mate. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Then you're just making shit. You're just at the level of make shit up, right? Like you're just literally. This is the argument you're making. It's the make shit up argument. Because you have not evidenced anything you've said. You've not evidenced anything you've said. Give me evidence for anything you've said. Can you tell me why I should believe your definition?
That is exactly. You've just told me that you are the definition of making things up.
I mean, I've cited my sources. You haven't. So.
I'm telling you, okay, that you are literally. You know what it is, mate? People that are 40 years old, right? What's it called? They believe in this ideology. They've been transitioned to a man.
Let me just.
I'll become a man. That is the what on earth? We have never had this problem in human history, and we're having it now because of do you know what I mean? The teenagers.
Okay, so let's just take a second. Let's just take a second, and call back to that one guy in middle school that didn't have any comebacks. So instead of having a clever comeback where he actually said something that was clever or creative, he just said, "Nuh-uh, I know you are, but what am I?" So that's the level that we're on, everyone. Is I said that you were making stuff up, and you were like, "No, you're doing it." Like, at least be clever if you're going to say something that is intended, like, is actually insubstantial. I'm not making shit up because I'm citing where I get this, right? You're making stuff up because you've cited literally nothing.
Okay, mate, you're getting your resources from, if you're looking at the American resources and documentation, well, how come you can't look at the, we'll say, Russia's documentation, Saudi Arabia's documentation?
Do you live in Russia or Saudi Arabia? You live in the UK, right?
Yeah, of course.
So what does the NHS say on this issue?
Mate, this is what I'm telling you. Western countries.
I can tell you what the NHS says on it.
They all believe in this ideology. It does not, and not long ago, the documentation in America and in England was the exact same as the documentation and statistics in other countries.
So why don't we reference an international organization? What about like the UN, for example?
Okay. Oh dear. Okay. Because sorry about that, mate. I don't know what that was. Because the international organisation is obviously going to side with the West.
Fascinating.
Why would you not believe a Chinese documentation or a Russia's documentation.
What's the wait? That's fascinating. What is the Chinese Communist Party's or the Communist Party of China official position on transgender people?
That are rotating and saying it's impossible.
That's untrue.
Sorry, you
That's not true.
Sorry, so what does it say then? What does China say?
The official Chinese Communist Party, or the Communist Party of China's position on trans people, is that they are valid generally.
No one's disagreeing that you can be transgender. No one's disagreeing with that.
No. The official statement of the Communist Party of China, the one rule of China, is that trans people are generally valid in their identity. I'm not saying, so just to be clear for all the viewers and progressive viewers out there, I'm not saying they uphold that, okay? I'm not saying that they don't have massive human rights violations against trans people, but they, the US also has massive violations against trans people, okay? So the CPC, right, the Communist Party of China, affirms trans people in pretty much the same way the American Medical Association does. So, do your research.
Sorry, mate, I've just realised. Obviously, if you don't mind, we can stay on topic if you don't mind. I've just realised that you've got some other interesting topics there I don't necessarily agree with. We can stay on topic if you'd like. Do you know what I mean? We can stay on topic if you'd like. But the feminist topic is something that I'd really like to indulge.
Great. So before we do, we're just going to take 2 seconds. So the CPC and the CCP, so just to address the comments. First of all, I agree that the CPC is supporting my positions is not a positive. He referenced China, so I'm just showing that he has no clue what he is talking about, because the CPC supporting me is just true. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying it is true. Second of all, calling it CPC v CCP, they refer to themselves as the CPC internally, and Western media typically calls them the CCP. So I'm just going to refer to them as the CPC because it's a little more accurate, and what they refer to themselves as. But it's entirely possible that it's fine to call them the CCP as well. They're relatively interchangeable, but in terms of what I prefer, it's why I pronounce Israel. It's just generally more accurate. If we want to move to feminism, that's fine. Once again, I urge everyone to go onto my YouTube. Go onto my YouTube. It has better audio, and it will be better. And it's good fun. And also, do go follow my YouTube. And also, shout out to the YouTube comment, #NotATanky, because I am #NotATanky. I don't support the CPC. It's not my position. But anyway, Abandon, what's your question on feminism? Yeah.
Okay, so the definition of feminism is that women should have equal rights. They should, vote. They should have, and I agree with that. I do believe that women should have equal opportunities to men. There's nothing wrong with women being able to work the same job, or women to be, if they want to, independent. However, that can lead to issues in the utmost respect. Obviously it can happen to men as well when they decide to do that and to be independent. That can also lead to issues. But in general, I do believe that feminism is essentially for women to have equal opportunities and rights. But I don't believe in the radical feminism, okay? And I feel like that has overshadowed the just feminism as a whole. So I don't agree with a lot of the things that so-called feminists are doing nowadays.
Give me an example and I'll tell you if I agree with it.
So, what an example of what feminists are doing.
Yep.
So, for example, walking out in the middle of the street, barely wearing any clothes, and then they say, okay, well, we worked for this, we were oppressed, and we deserve the right to do this.
So do you disagree that they should have the right to do it?
If that's what they want to do, legally, we can't do anything about that.
Great, so you would agree they have the right to do it?
Legally, yes.
So when you're saying, when they're saying, I've fought for the right to do this, where previously it was illegal, right? We had, laws limiting what they could wear. And we had the public decency laws that limited it. And when we fought for equality of it, you agree with them. So what they're saying, you agree with. They did, actually. Actually, public decency laws were a big point of contention in the feminist movement. Because they were sexist.
Of course.
So they fought for the right to not be viewed as inherently publicly indecent.
Women never fought for women to be walking around half naked.
But they fought for the right for them to. So when they say I have the right to do this, right, they are correct, and you would agree if you know any history.
They fought for the right to wear what they want, not
which includes the right for them to not wear much at all.
So this is what my disagreement is right here. So women that walk around half naked are the same women that complain about catcalling,
yep,
about men being disgusting,
yes,
etc., etc. Well, surely then, if you want to decrease the chances of that happening, you would just not be walking around half naked,
Look, and if I wanted to decrease the chance of them being SA'd, they just shouldn't walk in the street at all, right? Oh, well, if you don't want to get attacked, just don't be in a public place, I guess. If you don't want to, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That's like saying, well, you don't want credit card fraud to be done to you? Don't have a credit card.
Okay.
Right? You don't want to be attacked in the street? Don't go in the street, I guess. That's so dumb. You understand what victim blaming is, right? And why it's incorrect.
Listen,
then let's not engage in it.
This is exactly the point I'm about to make. Okay, and I'd appreciate it if you can answer it. Women that wear barely any clothes in the middle of the night and they're walking down the streets of London, would you just yes or no, so I can go on to the next point, which is related to the question? Do you believe that is a smart choice, regardless of if it's legal or illegal?
Do I believe that it's a smart choice?
Yeah, to be walking around half naked at night down the street of London.
I think it depends on context. I think it depends where you are in London.
Okay, so let's just say that you're walking in Croydon, where the crime rate is very high.
Late at night?
In Croydon, yeah, we'll say about between the time of 10 p.m. to 3 in the morning. So you're walking down the streets of Croydon, you just came back from a party, or you're going towards a party, you're on your own, or you're with a group of your friends, which are all female,
okay,
and you get attacked, raped.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I can't say the word because of TikTok.
So do I think there is anything other than to say that this is wrong and should be worked against? No, I don't think there's much other. I don't think there's much other. So the thing is, this is important. If a woman asked me this, and I have, so I'll kind of give context to this. So I go solo traveling quite a lot, right? I like going in hostels and solo traveling. And I talk about this with my female friends, and they often say, well, I would never feel comfortable doing that because of risks. Women are, by and large, actually much more risk adverse because they're taught to be much more scared. So this idea that women don't know, or that women need men to tell them to worry about men, about being victimized against men, is just wrong. And it's actually hilariously the exact opposite. By and large, I've seen that men are the ones who need to be told to take fewer risks and be safer. So why I bring up solo traveling is lots of women ask me, and I tell them what I think is smart. I'm like, okay, well, this is how you safely solo travel. But you're not asked by women. You're not being asked this. That's not the context of this discussion. The context of this discussion is feminism. But you're intent on giving advice to women that they don't really need. So not only do I think it shows an incredibly large hubris on your part, because once again, by and large, it is men that need the advice on how to be safe. But it's also just not relevant. Whether or not women are being safe is irrelevant to the feminist discussion, because the feminist discussion is reduction of unjustified power by men, right? So whether or not women are like making themselves more vulnerable to attacks and abuse by men doesn't make the attacks and abuse by men any more justified. And we're looking to stop and disempower men from those attacks and abuse. So this is just victim blaming. Why are you so intent on victim blaming?
Okay, so I haven't victim blamed anyone, and I'm about to tell you why. You just told me about 5 minutes ago that women fought for the right for them to be walking around half naked or whatever, which is fine if they want to do that. It's their choice. Now, the question I asked you was, okay, is it smart for a woman to be walking around half naked late at night in a dangerous place in London, such as Croydon? You didn't answer the question.
And I said that it was
And I think
irrelevant
it's
to
very
the
obvious.
it was said it was irrelevant to the point being made. It doesn't matter if it's smart.
It does matter if it's
Not
smart,
within the
because
context of
the same-
feminism.
no,
We're
it's the same-
fighting
it's the
for
same-
freedoms. Right? Whether or not, one second, we're fighting for freedoms. Whether or not we execute those freedoms in what you view to be an intelligent or risk-adverse way is totally different.
Okay, so give me one right that a woman does not have that a man has.
I mean, throughout the U.S., the right to their own body, but also, right, abortion is a great
What's
example
the
of
right
this.
to their own body? But you've just told me that they can wear what they want,
Wait,
and
but
just
that's
like you spoke
but
about before, they
you would abortion would, but also feminism isn't just about evening the playing field on women's. It's also evening the playing field on men's, right? Like the draft.
Feminism
One
is
second.
about giving women equal. Hold on. Feminism is about giving women equal opportunities and to be equal to men.
So,
which is exactly
for
what they
example, men are drafted. I think that is something that feminism should attack. Would you agree?
Wait, sorry, say that again.
Men are drafted and women are not. I think that we should not only draft men. Either we should draft no one or we should draft both. That is a sexual inequality. Do you agree?
Because men are better when it comes to being drafted.
But that is an unfair treatment on the basis of sex.
But okay, but it can't be, because biologically men are stronger than women, and they are better at combat. I'm not saying yes. There is
Do
the
we account?
exception
Wait.
that-
So in terms of the draft, is it about who is better in combat? Like, do we have an obesity metric for the draft? Do we have a strength metric for the draft?
Okay, well,
No, of course
obviously
not.
You need to be strong. You need to be fit, and you need to be capable enough to be drafted into a war. That's why men and women they go back to their traditional roles. When, for example, when Russia and Ukraine went to war, all the women and children were they went to different countries to be safe, while the men.
So I agree, but I think that that's sexist.
Well, I'm a man, and if I had to be drafted to defend my country, I wouldn't like it, but I would have to do it because that's my job as a man.
And once again, you can say that, but that doesn't prevent it from being sexist, right? Lots of men thought that their job was to vote for their wife, right? Lots of men thought that it was their job to work for their wife, and it wasn't the woman's role to work. Just because you feel it, this is a realsies over feelsies discussion. Just because you feel it doesn't mean that it's not sexist. Doesn't mean that it's not. Doesn't mean that it's true, right?
Okay, so can you tell me Are women in general, are they as strong as men?
No, but I think
Okay,
what's
so
funny
why-
about this
so why-
is the idea that strength is the valued thing within the military. Okay, I'll ask you this. I'll ask you this. Who are the best? One second. Who are the best marks people in the world? Men or women?
You mean marksmen? Men.
Wrong.
Okay, and how's that? Okay, and how's that then?
Women on average outperform men in marksmanship.
Do you know what marksmanship is?
Yes, like riflery, etc.
Okay.
And women
So you're
outperform
telling
women
me-
outperform
hang
men
on a
on
minute.
marksmanship.
Hang on a minute. That has got to be the biggest lie in the entire generation of 2020. Listen, mate, that is not true. Do some research,
One
especially on
when we get off, one second, when we get off live, I'm happy to send you some articles proving this. It's incredibly clear that women on average perform better in marksmanship. But secondarily,
Okay.
who on average receives more bachelor's, master's, and doctorates? Men or women?
Sorry, say that again.
Who on average receives more bachelor's, master's, and doctorates? Men or women?
Men.
Incorrect. For the past 15 years, women have outperformed men in academia. Women have received more masters, bachelors, and doctorates.
Okay, well then once again that is also incorrect. The sources you are giving me are completely incorrect.
One second. Okay, so let's move to another one. Who on average performs better?
Okay, so
Who on
this-
average
hold on,
performs?
so
One
this-
second, because
this
I'm
is
just
giving me-
because you're entirely wrong, but I don't want to bring up specific sources every single time because it's annoying. Because I'm correct, by the way. I mean, this is a really well-known fact. This is a really well-known fact that men have underperformed women. I mean, it's very clear. But I just want to keep pointing this because you have nothing to counteract. If you give me a single source that disagrees with me, and I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay.
So
okay,
who on
okay,
average
okay,
performs better on
I'm-
standardized
I'm-
tests?
Hold on. I'm about to tell you right now. Where's that source necessarily? Where's that source?
What?
This source. Where
I mean,
did
I
it
don't
come
have the
from?
source up right now. Do we want to look this up? Do we want to spend our time debating looking this up?
Okay, wait, no, hang on. This source.
Is this what
where
you would
did
like to spend
see
our
it?
time doing?
No, because I'm about to tell you right now. That source, not only would that be a small sample size. If it's not, it does not generalize men and women as a whole globally. Because I can guarantee you that it is most likely in America. 100%.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Because I'm about to
America.
tell you
I'm
right
talking
now.
about the American draft, you dipshit.
No, I'm talking about the masters and the scholars for being
Yeah, so within
doctors.
America, so this is so referencing the American Enterprise Institute, this doesn't have a small sample size. This is all of the doctorates. Right? So your made-up critique doesn't make any sense because we can just look up all of the doctorates. So here's this direct citation. Of the 111,000, or it was for the 76,111 doctoral degrees awarded in 2020. So this is 4-year-old data. This is just the first thing that comes up. Women earned 40,037 of those degrees, 53% of the total, compared to 35,368 degrees awarded to men, who earned 46.9% of the total.
Okay.
So I'll just
all the
ask you,
seven-
just for a second, which is bigger, 53% or 46%?
53%, of course.
So
Of course,
women
53%, of
women
course.
in America earned more doctoral degrees. Do we want to do that with the rest of the statistics I cited?
Yeah, whether you just prove my point, babes. In America, it does not generalize it as a whole globally.
Well, there might be a difficulty generalizing it globally when women aren't legally allowed to receive educations and attend university in multiple countries globally. So do you think maybe there's an issue with that in terms of our data? What?
Which countries do that?
Afghanistan?
Okay, one. Next.
Somalia?
Next.
Eritrea?
Next.
Let's think. I think I can think of a few other ones. Does Pakistan limit it? Does Iran limit it? I'm just going off the comments now. So
No, and let's just say that you could name another 10 countries.
Still doesn't matter.
How many countries are there in the world?
192?
Sorry. No, sorry, it's 197 recognized, but there's
Recognized by who?
236 in total, I believe.
Recognized by who? 192 are members of the UN.
Yeah, the United Nations, I think, is recognized. Yeah,
But my point is my point is that, like, basically there are a bunch of countries where either they're explicitly disallowed or they have drastically different economic educational options, right? The reason I'm pointing this out is even when women are actively told to devalue education, right, in America, which they still are, right? Like, lots of women getting degrees are referred to as husband degrees. There's still a huge difficulty with it. Oh yeah, thank you to the person. South Sudan, CAR, Chad, Mali, Burkina Faso, Liberia, Ethiopia, Syria.
sorry, but then do you believe in
Kuwait.
That women? Yeah. So do you believe that women are paid less than men?
I mean, it's not a belief. They are, in fact, paid less than men for. I mean, multivariate analysis proved this. They found about a 2% unexplained differential between men and women's pays.
So, do your research, okay? Women are paid less than men because men work more hours.
Well, but you account for that. Do you know what multivariate analysis is?
Men go into more high-paying jobs.
Do you know what multivariate analysis is?
Multivariate analysis, multi-LGBTQ, multi-Snapchat, Instagram analysis does not matter, mate. It is proven factually and statistically. Men work more hours and men go into more high-paying jobs.
Once again, do you know what multivariate analysis means?
Oh, goodness gracious, God almighty, Jesus come down, save me from the earth.
Well, this man seemingly loses his mind. We're just going to mute him for a second. Thank you to everyone on my YouTube. We got 21 people on the YouTube, so thank you so much. Shout out to everyone on the YouTube. And thank you to everyone on TikTok. Much love and much slays. So y'all should follow me on YouTube. The link is in my bio. It's just that little square that looks like a YouTube. Or also you can click the link tree, which has the attachment to the YouTube. The YouTube channel is linked to my bio. What should I debate Parker on, though? Me and Parker work together. We get on pretty well. Not in real life, obviously, but, like, you know, on TikTok. My Marianne videos are up on YouTube. The full debate is, if you want to watch me talk with Marianne, it's about 8 minutes long. So very, very happy with 21 people on my YouTube. That's fantastic. We also are 3 people away from hitting 500 subscribers on YouTube, which is so cool, so cool. Me and Parker agree on abortion. What are y'all talking about? Okay, wonderful. Well, let's see what else we can get. We're just gonna move on to another guest. And yeah, but other than that, if you really appreciate what I do and you want to, you know, support me in what I do, you can send me a Cash App. My Cash App is in my bio. And my Patreon also really helps me. Do go follow my Patreon. It is also in the link tree. So shout out to everyone that just went and followed my YouTube. We are 2 people away now. Wow, slay. Okie dokie. Let's see if we get someone disagreeing up in here. Just remember, drop out of the guest request if you agree with me. Send a guest request if you disagree with me. And of course, if you are under 18, don't request. Hello, Jake.
Hey.
How old are you, Jake?
23.
Wonderful. Well, what'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
I mean, I agree with most of your statements up there. We're pretty aligned, I think, but the only one that I don't really have a strong position on is the sort of transgender issue. Mostly just because I don't feel like I've kind of had enough exposure to the different arguments and stuff. So I just wanted to have like a bit of a discussion with you to try and find out your kind of views on it. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that quickly. If you want to ask a few questions.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so I kind of just wanted to know what do you mean when you use the term gender?
Like sex in a social capacity, social constructions surrounding sex.
Based on biological sex.
So surrounding biological sex. Yeah. Composed of, associated with.
So you think that they're based on masculinity and femininity?
Yeah, and some. Yeah. I would say masculinity and identity within masculinity or femininity or within whatever social construction surrounding sex, is what gender is composed of.
So, obviously, if someone had, for example, very masculine traits, masculine preferences, things that are typically associated with biological males, but they identified as female, what would you say their gender
Well,
was?
I'd say, so male and female isn't the terms that I would use to reference gender. I'd reference gender being man and woman. And I'd say gender is determined by identity, not presentation. So I'd say they present as such and such, and then they identify as such and such. So I'm going to refer to them as the thing that they identify as. Right?
Okay, so it's completely separate from their
Presentation, yeah.
kind of external characteristics, presentation.
Yep.
So
In this
there's
capacity,
a conflict between those two definitions. If gender is based on masculinity and femininity, but yet it doesn't have any bearing on their identity.
Well, I think there can be multiple valid definitions, and also I never gave the definition that it was based on masculinity and femininity. I described gender to you, right? But not how our categorization within gender.
So you think the categorization is based purely on how that individual self-identifies?
Yeah, they're referentially within those within how they orient themselves towards those characteristics, not their achievement within those. The typical analogy I would make, right, is whether or not someone is a Christian has nothing to do with their actions and has everything to do with their identity. So if you accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior into your heart, you're a Christian, regardless of if you're very sinful, right? That's the analogy I typically make. It doesn't track 100% because obviously people that don't present as they identify are not sinful, but typically you would expect, right, someone that identifies as a man to present as a man, but that them not presenting as a man doesn't necessarily preclude them from being a man.
Okay. The thing that I struggle with generally is that I don't find any value in a kind of a variable like gender in which it's based purely on sort of internal orientation. I don't see that there's much. What do you think that self-identification it determines externally, if anything?
So what is the use in understanding this term in this way? Is that what you're asking?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I think the use in understanding it is that it's accurate. I think most people would recognize that, So a few things. First of all, I think it's really clear that being a man or being a woman isn't merely biological, right? So we reference being manly or being womanly with sociological characteristics. And then the choice that we have is whether or not we're going to ask people what they physically are showing or what they orient themselves towards showing. And I would just lean towards, both can be accurate understandings of man or woman. So the question is why we would necessarily preclude this one when it does have some use value, right, is when I ask you if you're a man, right? If I ask you if my name is Will, right? It doesn't matter what's on my forms. It doesn't matter what's everywhere. It's what I identify as. So when you're talking about a woman or talking about a man, it's really asking them what characteristics they associate themselves with and orient themselves towards. And that could be used as a goalpost for, who they are and what they achieve and what they want. So I think it's asking descriptively what they want. It's more communicative in that way, rather than just describing what they are currently. I think those are helpful terms.
Okay, I'm not sure I fully follow that explanation.
Delightful. Well, we can give you a second to mull over. I'm going to try and find someone who like just properly disagrees. But I appreciate you coming up.
No worries. That's fine. Yeah, I'll head off now. But thanks. Yeah, thanks for talking
Peace
to
out.
me.
No problem.
Cheers.
Can you hear me?
I can.
So yeah, there's like a few things I disagree with. Not a whole bunch, but a few things. Like I agree with you about the feminists and other stuff like that. But I do disagree with the anti-death penalty. I do think that the death penalty can be very useful.
Okay. How is it useful?
I think that ultimately it is a better option for like, all right, like say you have somebody who is not able to change. Like I am for like, I know that like places in Europe that have their jails, they instead of doing like prisons, they do like recreational centers. And I do think that is more beneficial and to try to, rehabilitate a person. I think that studies have shown that has been, tends to be more productive and changing someone's past life. But I do think in situations where you just can't change a person, that the death penalty, instead of just letting them rot in a jail, I think it's more of grace, honestly, on them.
But if it's about grace, then why don't you give them a choice? Because clearly they know better than being forced.
Yeah, but sometimes people with mental disabilities, that like let's say like serial killers and psychopaths, it's hard for them to make a choice because if you look at studies, their brains are different than other people that don't suffer.
Yeah,
from
but
those
then
type
it's
of
not
mental
about
disabilities.
grace. I think, this isn't that. This is you're just making an argument for euthanasia. I don't think killing someone against their will is ever going to be right. Like, when they're telling you not to, because they clearly don't want to. So here's the thing about grace: is the thing about saying that it was that it would be grace or it'd be nice to them, right? You would have to be saying that you're like preventing harm for them, or you're preventing like unnecessary pain, but you're not when you're causing pain to them, and they're telling you that it's not worth it. So no, I don't think we can copium and say, oh, we're actually helping these people that we're forcing to be unalived. I also don't think unaliving mental patients who
I don't think there's pain. I don't think there's I wouldn't be in support of unethical killings, obviously. But I do think I do think that some people would rather I forget which person
But
said
let's
this,
ask
but
them.
They what?
Let's ask them. That's fine. Let's ask them. And then if they want to be unalived, I'm not against euthanasia. But that's a different discussion than the death penalty.
Okay, and I do somewhat I do somewhat agree with you that like giving them the choice whether they would rather stay in jail or be
Unalived, yeah.
executed. Or unalived, yeah. I do agree with that. But like I said, sometimes it is hard to make those choices, and I guess what we have to do is kill people that it's not always right, but it can be very, especially when you get on morality, it can be very hard to determine whether it's ethical or not.
I think the pretty baseline position is to not unalive people against their will. I think throughout all of human history ever, we've kind of decided that unaliving someone when they say they don't want it.
But I don't think it can always be based on will, because let's say you ran into somebody who thought they were deserving of it, but they were just very suicidal. Would you be for them, dying?
Wait, so this is just a question of euthanasia, right? There are complicated questions regarding euthanasia that's different than the discussion regarding death penalty, right? Because the death penalty is forced. Okay? There's a difference between who we should allow to unalive themselves and who we should force to unalive themselves. I don't think we should force anyone to unalive themselves.
Okay, so your argument is rather than the death penalty in itself, you're letting it's the choice of it.
I'm just saying, if your argument is mercy, that argument isn't true if you're forcing it.
It doesn't always have to be a choice to be mercy. Sometimes it can be mercy, especially if you think about the ramifications on other people. You know, because sometimes they can't just keep holding these people in there. I mean, you think about how many prisons are overloaded; they're oversaturated with people. So yeah, I do think, in a way, I do think it is a mercy on people that it could have other affect, especially families.
So it's okay, great. This is an actual argument. It's not mercy to the person we're unaliving, right? If we want to talk about that, we can talk about that. But if you want to pivot to mercy to other people, it just being justice or better for other people, we can talk about that. It's not better for other people.
And why do you say that?
It's more expensive, risks innocent lives, and unalives someone that inevitably someone will care about.
Okay, so you're saying we shouldn't unalive because somebody cares about that person.
I'm saying the fact that the families of the victim might feel better is entirely outweighed knowing that the families of the criminal will feel bad.
And see, that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree, especially when you have somebody who's at that time, like at present time, is innocent. Like, let's say somebody just, unalive somebody for no given reason. And I don't think in all cases of murder should somebody be put death penalty. I think in cases where it just proves to be, a waste of time and resources to help rehabilitate those people. Because like I said,
But I'm not asking, and I'm not saying they're rehabilitated. I'm saying let's save time and money. Let's put them in jail for life. Death penalty costs more.
And I don't think that's merciful. I mean, what would you rather have?
Then ask them, but you can't keep pivoting to this. You know you can't keep pivoting to this because it's not merciful if it's not their choice. Okay? Because if you're going to say, what would you rather have, just ask them what they would rather have and then do that.
And why do you think it should be their choice?
Because otherwise it's not mercy. I'm not saying it should be their choice. I'm saying if it is going to be this way, the only way it would be mercy, right, is if we asked them that's what they preferred. Because mercy is doing what is best for them, okay? And I don't think you're ever going to suggest that killing someone, unaliving someone without asking them, unaliving someone who can tell you they don't want it, unaliving someone against their will, right, is what they prefer. And if that's what they prefer, let's do it, right? But that wouldn't be against their will then.
Go ahead. All right, mercy isn't always what they think is best for them, though. That's not what mercy is. Mercy is the easier option sometimes, rather than giving. Because me personally, if I had the option that I knew I was going to, had life in prison, or to choose the death penalty, I would choose the death penalty.
Great. Then that's then you don't get. But the point is that's your choice, right? But there are clearly going to be cases where they don't want that, and there are clearly going to be cases where they do. And you can't suggest to me that in these cases where they don't want that's mercy.
But you said that does not save time nor resources by doing that.
By doing what?
By giving them that option of whether that.
I agree. Actually, it would say. Actually, I agree. It would save time and resources to just put them in life in prison and not give them the option to go through the death penalty proceedings, because the death penalty proceedings are more expensive.
They're more expensive, but they're less likely to be going on. There's not as many deaths as there are people being put in prison. So to carry out their life is going to be more expensive.
It's not.
How is it not? How is ending someone's life and not having to feed them or whatever going to be more expensive than caring for someone their whole rest of their natural life?
I mean, let me just make very clear, this is the truth. First of all, I mean, both the New York Justice Department and the Federal Justice Department have consistently stated this, that the death penalty pretty much always costs more than life in prison, Right, so that's just true. I can try and educate you on why that is true, but that just is true. The typical reason that makes this so much more expensive is the extra legal proceedings that they have to go through. Right? You have to go through clemency and extra appeals processes to ensure the death penalty.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to look at it on my own. I'm not going to waste your time by having you pull up or anything, because I know there's other debates that people want to have with you. But in my perspective, I do see it differently. I guess in a moral way, I do see because I know it's not always their choice, but I do think that sometimes killing someone is just more beneficial than just letting them rot in prison.
Yeah, but it's beneficial to who?
To multiple people. It's beneficial to multiple people. Sometimes it is.
But it's also
graceful
hurtful
and
to
family.
multiple people.
And that's gonna. There are no.
But
solutions.
you can't just say then I think it's beneficial, and then I also don't care about who it's not beneficial to. If we're talking about cost benefit analysis, you need to recognize the costs and the benefits. But you're not doing that. You're only accepting the benefits.
And I also think that that just life in prison is just terrible for people. A lot of people, even though they get that choice to live in prison, I've watched multiple people that have gotten out of prison and talk about the unfairness in those prisons. The way they get treated is dehumanizing.
Very cool. I don't think you know better than them whether they want to continue living. That's all I'm saying, is the government and you do not know better than the individual whether they want to continue living.
It's not about knowing what's better. Okay, it's not about knowing what is better.
If it's about mercy, then it is.
I do. Okay. See, prisons aren't a hotel. It's not like you get to choose what you're always doing. You committed a crime. You took someone's life unjustifiably.
I know, but if we're talking about... No, Landon, you keep getting confused. I'm not making this argument because I think it's the right. I'm making this argument because you are trying to justify it on the basis of mercy. But what you're advocating is not merciful. Okay? So I understand that we shouldn't give choice. What I'm saying is that what you're doing isn't merciful.
Okay, so you're saying it's not merciful because it's not their choice, even though
Yes.
I disagree.
And you're wrong. And you're wrong.
How am I wrong? Because, okay, so if mercy equals someone's choice...
No. Mercy equals ensuring that is what is best for them is done. Okay? And I don't see a single case where taking away someone's choice, a sane, right, mentally capable person's choice, as to whether or not they want to continue living, is going to be the best thing for them. I don't think you or the government know better whether they would like to continue living.
So now you're bringing up mental and sane. So what about psychopaths and not sane people?
Psychopaths are mentally competent. Not everyone, but being a psychopath doesn't preclude you from being mentally competent.
And I'm not saying that, but there is. If you look at the statistics, most people who tend to be insane have those type of tend to be in that category of psychopathic.
That's not true.
And that is true.
No. Most insane people do not have psychopathy. Or, as it's known now, antisocial personality syndrome, I believe. No. Most insane people do not have antisocial personality syndrome.
Alright, we'll have to disagree on that one.
I don't have
my computer with me.
Yeah.
I don't have my computer with me to look at that, but no, I do think it's mercy. I do think you're showing compassion when you
And I do think you're delusional and have bloodlust. I think this is just evil. I think it's literally evil to believe that taking away someone's free will is showing mercy in some way. It's extraordinarily demeaning to criminals, right? And it's extraordinarily demeaning to like anyone that goes through the justice system.
You're not just taking someone's free will when they get executed. When you get into prison, your free will is gone.
I'm aware. But we're not suggesting that jail is merciful. That's the point. That's the thing, is if you want to say it's merciful, you need to show that it's merciful. So I agree, the entire justice system is not merciful. That's not its purpose, to be merciful. It's not its purpose. So stop saying it is! You can't make an argument that the death penalty is merciful and then say, exactly, the point is not to be merciful.
It is merciful. It is merciful. Because whether they
This is mind rot. This is mind rot. You just said it wasn't merciful.
No, I'm saying execution is merciful.
Okay. My point is killing someone against their will is not merciful.
Okay. That's your standpoint. That's your standpoint. That's fine.
Disprove it.
There's also another topic.
But okay, yeah, we can move to another topic.
How are you going to prove morality? How are you going to prove morality?
So I can say, look, this person is in a coma, cannot communicate to me, right? And I know that they are in extraordinary amount of pains. I assume that if they were out of this coma, they would want me to unalive them. Then I think it can be merciful. On the basis of assumption of consent, right? We can talk about that. I think both you and I would agree with that. The disagreement, right, is when this person wakes up from the coma, tells me they don't want to be unalived, is of mental stability, right? And then I'm like, no, you actually want to be unalived. I'm going to end your life. Like, can we just see how, like, that's just wrong. That's not what mercy is. That's not how mercy works.
I get your point. But comparing someone who is in a coma, and I know there is a comparison. I see that. And I know you're using Socratic method, but I do think that it is a little bit different when you're comparing someone in a coma rather than someone who's in prison.
Not comparing the two.
Yeah, you are using an analogy.
Yeah, but the analogy isn't the person in the coma to the person in prison.
No, it's the fact that whether they have a choice or not.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that the person in prison is like the person in the coma and that they don't have a choice.
I get that, but them having a choice, I'm saying the person who just got out of a coma, their choice is a lot different than a person who's in prison.
I know, and I'm not suggesting they're similar. Like, I'm not comparing the two. I'm saying here's an example where mercy killing is reasonable. Here is an example where it's not. Okay, let's track that onto this case. This is comparable to this, right? And the thing that it's comparable to is the one that it's not the one that it is. It's not comparing the person in the coma. It's comparing the person outside of the coma, which a person in prison is not in a coma.
I understand that. I'm saying you're comparing the situations.
Yeah, but I know, but person to person, like, this isn't how the analogy works. But okay.
Okay, but also I wanted to argue about something else, or not argue.
Sure, we can move on. Yeah.
Disagree. The trans men are men, and before I start, I do not have a problem with people who want to identify as different genders. If somebody asked me to identify them as something else, let's say born female who wants to identify as a man, I would call her a man just out of respect. I think pronouns can be used to be respectful. But I do think, like, biologically, no, that those things are indifferent. You can go ahead. I'm
fascinating. Is anyone saying that men and women are the same biologically?
No, but I kind of think you lead to that when you say trans men are men.
But if I don't say
Because
it,
they're kind of different.
and if you ask me if I believe it and I say no, am I leading to it?
No. You're
Then
not
I'm not
leading
leading
I'm just
to
saying
it.
the predestined. Okay. Do you believe that trans men are men?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you think qualifies as being a man?
So I think within what I'm referencing here is the social construction of man, right? Which would be composed of social characteristics that we associate with males.
And I think that the issue that runs into that is that you can't always compare certain. Yes, on average, there's certain characteristics that lead to one sex or the other, But I don't think you can always, because you have very feminine men and you have very masculine women. So
Fascinating.
when you
That's an
kinda-
interesting phenomena. I don't see how it's relevant. I'm just saying that the definition of a man, right, is a person who identifies with those social constructions. And trans men do that. So you can present and not identify, or you can identify and not present. Those two things are different.
Then why not just say trans men are females who identify as men? Why
Well,
would
I
you
mean,
say that?
I can say that. Trans men, by and large, are females who identify as men, which equally makes them men.
No.
Exactly. So it's not about me saying that. So let's not ask irrelevant questions now. What I'm saying is that a person who identifies as a man, right, and what they mean by that is that they identify with the social construction in their society composed of social characteristics associated with males, right? I think that they're a man. I think that's a valid definition.
Okay. No, I do not agree with that.
On what basis?
On what basis? Genetically. Like I said, if somebody
Prove to me, use genetics to prove to me that this word has this definition.
Okay, so men are people that have XY chromosomes. Female
Prove that.
are people that have XX chromosomes. Prove that? How do you? Okay, so you can call whatever you want and give it to a label on something.
Exactly. So I'm asking you to prove that your definition's right. That's the point. Is definitions exist, right? Language exists. I'm asking you to describe the language.
Okay, so then if you're just gonna have, if you're not gonna have structures of language,
I think we do have structures of language. I'm describing the language, and I believe it to be true, right? And I can tell you why I believe it to be true, and I can try and argue to why it is true, right? I'm asking you, right, why you think it's true.
why I think it's not.
Yeah, why you think it's not true. Or why you believe your position to be true. Tell me why this definition tracks onto this word.
Like I said,
Don't just restate the
because
definition.
I think that we just recognize that. What?
Yeah, what were you saying?
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
I said don't just restate the definition.
I was saying
Yeah.
that I'm not going to restate the definitions, but okay. Like I'm saying is I think that you can call whatever you want on something, but that doesn't always mean, like, of course you can manipulate words to being whatever you want, but I do not think that you can just say one thing is another just because I said so.
That's not what I'm saying.
I mean, you kind of are.
No, I'm
in a
not.
sense. Okay, because you're saying, okay, let's say a female, a born female, is transitioning or whatever, or let's say she doesn't even have to go that. Let's say she just wants to be known as a man. Okay.
As a man.
Yeah, you kind of are because what?
As a man.
Yeah, did I not say that?
You said male.
Okay, male, man.
I would draw a distinction.
Okay, so you're distinguishing the two. You're distinguishing.
Felt
the
like that was pretty
sexes to
clear,
the
yeah.
genders. Okay, so you're distinguishing the sex. Okay, then I think that just goes into just a name rather than a born fact.
I mean,
Just a representation. So
are
you're-
not all things labels. So what I'm saying, right, is when I use these labels, this is what at least one proper understanding of what these labels are. And it seems relatively clear that when I use these labels in a certain way, you understand what I mean. When I say this is manly, right? You don't think, wow, this must really have a penis. Or when I'm really womanly, I'm like, wow, you must really have a vagina.
A bit of confusion.
That's fascinating.
Okay,
So clearly these words aren't just biological. So your definition and restriction of them to be just biological seems incorrect.
Well, I think there was confusion. I was thinking that you were comparing it to the sex rather than the gender of the thing.
Yeah, I'm comparing it to the
I was
gender.
thinking you were saying that
Hence
that trans
transgender,
men are,
yeah.
That okay, I get that. I know that. I'm saying I thought you were comparing gender to sex.
Fascinating.
Okay, so you're just saying the gender.
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't disagree on that. I don't disagree on that.
Oh, great. Is that all you disagree, or is that all all the issues you have with these?
Oh no, that's all. That's all. I should have probably clarified before we engaged. I just thought you were meaning that because that when somebody identifies as a man is born man.
Great. Well, I appreciate you coming up if that's all the disagreements you have.
Thank you.
Slay the day.
Have a good one.
You too. I think when should I go to bed, everyone? Or should I go to bed soon? Thank you, Brett, for doing the Landon is on the line. Current topic is gender and sex. Much love. Should I go to bed? Don't know. One second, I'm gonna check my notice. Let's also note, thank you everyone. Oh, I didn't even notice the diamonds. Thank you so much for the diamonds. We got 2,000. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We got 100 new followers. Very, very cool, everyone. I miss my old viewership. But hello, everyone. I really enjoy having this new mic. It gives me something to play with. And it's nice. But to get to the real issues. Am I okay with dating a trans man? 200%. 200% am I okay dating a trans man. Why am I okay dating a trans man? 10 times out of 10, 100% of the time, trans men are... 100% of the time, trans men are better groomed. I have never met a trans man that is not better groomed than like 99% of gay men that are cis. I think everyone knows this if you've ever seen any trans man ever. So yeah, slay. They're just slayer. They know how to wash their ass. Like, hello. So 200% I would date a trans man. But also, God no, I'm not a straggot. I am a gay man. I would date a trans man, obviously, because I like men. What else did someone say? Someone else said something. No, I don't like Kitty. Do I have a straight twin? I mean, arguably I have Dean and Parker. Shout out to Dean and Parker. Shout out to Dean and Parker. Wait, what bathroom do you use? I mean, I use a men's bathroom, as I am a man. Just so everyone knows, I'm a cis gay man. Just so everyone knows, I am a cis gay man. So, in case there was any confusion. Okie dokie, let's keep letting people up then. You know what? I really do appreciate the compliment. Like, everyone does think I'm trans. Slay. Trans men are so hot. Typically because they're just better at grooming. Hello, Home Garden. I can barely hear you, babe.
Oh, sorry. How's now?
There we go. I can hear you now.
All right. So I guess I'll start with if it turns into a heated debate, no disrespect. I'll go click the sub on your YouTube also. So I think probably the first one that I want to debate is trans men or men.
Slay, why?
So, and this isn't because I'm against it, but let's say that we're not having the debate over whether it's natural or not. We'll have the debate on just identity, right? So, say a trans man identifies as what he or she is not. If I was a female, a transition to a man, or opposite, first I'd have to ask myself, how far does this line get pushed back? So if we say, I'm okay with you identifying as a different gender, or I'm okay with you identifying as something that you weren't originally, at what point are we not okay with somebody identifying as something else?
Well, okay, but this is not true. This is just a fallacy. So, can I change my name? If I wanted to be called Bob instead of Will, do you think I could validly, my name could become Bob?
Why not?
Do you agree that that's valid and, like, true?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Can I change my religion? If I wanted to go from being a Christian to being a Muslim or being a Jew, could I do so?
Yes.
Okay, great. Does that beg the same question?
Well, can you change your age?
Well, no. So here's the thing, Homegarden. Does being able to change those things beg the same question that you're pointing to here?
No. Like I guess what I'm saying is, if I'm 9 and I identified as 30, could you hit on me?
Great.
Could you flirt?
No. No. But the point is why you're not willing to engage in a real discussion of this, and you immediately transition to something inflammatory like age, right? Is because clearly there are some labels that are referential to self-identification, right? Religion is really referential to self-identification. Political party, referential to self-identification. Name, referential to self-identification. All I'm suggesting is that all I'm saying is that, there are some things that are, and some things that aren't, and some things that kind of are. And I'm saying gender is primarily one that is. It's primarily referential to self-identification. Also, you're getting really bad feedback. You're getting really bad feedback. I was wondering if there's anything you can do about that.
Oh, is it lagging?
Just has horrendous feedback. It's like...
Alright, here, I'm gonna turn off my Wi-Fi. It might be...
No, it's not the lag. Ugh, it's just the feedback. I think it's like something with your audio.
Oh, man. That sucks.
Yeah, well, I'll let you figure that out.
If it doesn't get any better, just kick me or something.
Yeah, let's see if that's better. Okay, yeah. My auditory processing disorder is not going to handle that well. Thank you so much for the 22 people on YouTube. I love and appreciate.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello. What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
The trans men are men.
Great. Why?
Because a man's an adult human male.
Why?
Why is an adult human male?
Why is that true?
Because... What?
Yeah, why?
Why? Because that's the definition of it. This is what it means.
On what basis is that the definition?
The very first definition.
Okay, why do you ignore the other definitions?
I don't ignore the other definitions. I'm more than happy to use it, but no other definition matches the context we're using in it.
Why do you say that?
Well, if I say I'm going to go over to your house, we assume I'm going over to your place, but it also means a place of worship, so context is extremely important.
Exactly, and I'm saying, I agree context is worth it. So why do you assume that... What context leads you to suggest that it's the first definition and not later definitions? Or that multiple could be relevant?
Well, because trans men model themselves off of the man
Wait.
that we're talking about. What man are you referring to?
So I can refer to one of the definitions, right? We can reference the Oxford Language Dictionary definition of man, right?
What is it?
One of which includes a adult human female, or adult human, an adult male human being. But then another one, right, is a person with qualities traditionally associated with males, such as bravery, spirit, or toughness. So I would say that a trans man's certainly a man within that definition.
Right, so is anybody who is strong, brave, suddenly a man?
So by that definition, they are. So do you deny the source that you cited?
Well, no, I don't deny the source I cited.
Okay, great. Then by your definition, trans men are men.
No, so are they referring to being strong, brave, and brave?
I mean, so then at least some trans men are men. Would you agree that at least some trans men are men by this definition?
No.
Okay, great. Then you're being disingenuous. You reference the Oxford Language Dictionary, right? Would you agree that at least some trans men are brave, have bravery, spirit, or toughness?
Oh, I would.
Great. Then at least some of them then you would agree that at least some of them are men by this definition.
So if you ask those trans men that they want to be called a men because they're strong, brave, or are they trying to or they want to be?
But I'm asking you if they fit the definition very strictly. It doesn't matter what you ask them according to this definition. This definition isn't regarding identity. So I answer the question genuinely. If they have these qualities, according to Oxford Languages, they are men. Do you accept that?
No. No.
Then don't reference the Oxford Languages Dictionary.
So what's your definition of a man?
Wait, no. I'm not going to let you get away with that. Tell me why your definition is true. Because your definition isn't what the Oxford Language Dictionary says solely, right? And according to Oxford Language... But no. This doesn't reference context, right? They're all co-equally true, right? And it just is fitting. The context is built into the understanding. It built into the definition, right? All of them are co-equally true, okay? So you can't actually describe to me why the definition doesn't apply in this case, right? It would typically note relevant context, or we'd be able to reasonably assume relevant context, right? But you can't. So you can't just use context as a cop-out here, right? Oxford Language Dictionary provides one that would affirm at least some trans people, but you are not, okay? So you are not using the Oxford Languages Dictionary. So tell me a reason that your definition is correct.
I'm on the Oxford Dictionary. I don't even see what you're looking at.
Click more definitions.
So wait, we're going down to more like.
So under one, an adult male human being. We have a male member of the workforce, ordinary members in armed forces as distinct from officers, a person's husband, boyfriend, or male lover, a male person associated with a particular place, activity, or thing, and then finally a person with qualities associated with male such as bravery, spirit, or toughness. Right. Then we have a male pursuant or sought by another, especially in connection with a crime, a manservant or valet, and then a vassal historical.
Wait, can you give me the number down? So I'm trying to look for it.
Let's see. So we have directly under number 1, but then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just like what comes up when you look up man definition.
Yeah, that's why I'm on man definition. Number 5 says a man who comes from the place mentioned or whose job or interest is connected to the thing mentioned. I don't see anything about your strong or bravery.
What are you looking at?
Oxford Dictionary.
Is it Oxford Languages?
I want to know Oxford Dictionary.
Oh, Oxford. No. Go look up man definition. Don't click on any links. Like literally just go to the definition. Because Oxford Dictionary is like something different. Oxford Languages Dictionary is the thing we're looking for. That's the thing released by Oxford University Press.
A person with the qualities traditionally associated with a man.
With males.
More of a man than you'll ever be. That's why I'm saying context is important, because that's not referring to a man. That's I'm more of a man than you will ever be. So
which is a man.
Associated with a man. Yeah, but it doesn't call. It's not calling you a man.
It is calling you a man. I mean, that's an example. You understand what the examples do, right?
But you also know that the such as bravery, spirit, or toughness isn't part of the definition. That's a common.
It is part of the definition.
Yeah, it's a person with the.
It is literally part of the definition.
What? Yeah, and then comma, such as bravery, spirit, or toughness.
Yeah.
Such as is describing, but that's open for interpretation.
But it's all open for interpretation, right? But it's still part of the definition.
Okay, so such as bravery, spirit, or toughness, right?
Yeah, so you could point to any qualities traditionally associated with males. That's the examples they choose to highlight, right? But it's so that the context and the definition is clearer and more clarity. But you would have to agree that with just like a reasonable reading of this, trans men can be men.
Not one part of us ever even assumed a woman can be a man right over here, according to this definition.
Yep. That is true. This is true. Yes, this is true. Yes, a woman can be a man by this definition as well.
Yeah. So that's not calling you a man. I'm not saying you're a man. I'm saying you're more of a man. So it's a hypothetical. This is using a hypothetical sense, so you can't use it as
it's
a
not
definition.
where.
Trans men are not identifying as a hypothetical.
Okay, I mean, we can move to another definition of this. Let's look at the second definition offered by. 1 second. Let's look at the second definition, right? A human being of either sex, a person.
the second definition I'm looking at is a male member of a workforce.
No. So the thing labeled number 2.
Yeah. A human being of either sex, a person, right? Goodwill to all men. That was the example.
So is a trans man a human being of either sex?
What?
So is a trans man a human being of either sex?
A human being of either sex, a person, goodwill to all men.
So is a trans person that?
That's more. Okay, I know what definition that is. That actually isn't the most accurate version of that definition. That's referring to more of a group setting, though, like to all men and women.
But it's stated singularly. So is a trans person a human being of either sex?
They are a human being of either sex.
So by this definition, they're a man.
Okay, so basically, a man's not.
What I'm saying is that when you come up here, with guns blazing, referencing definitions, right? That's within the Oxford Languages, right? You're not actually engaging in the debates that's relevant, because clearly, by at least one definition of the Oxford Languages, trans men are men.
Right.
That's not the game we want to play. Actually engage in the claim that is being made, which is that trans men, right, in their identity as being a man within a social construction, is valid, and a valid and useful understanding of man as distinct from woman.
Okay. So do you think a trans woman is a man then?
In a certain capacity, yes. In another capacity, no. I would say the useful capacity, right, would be that they're a man, by and large. Or a trans, whatever they are, right, whatever they identify as. A trans woman, a trans woman is a man in the capacity of being a male, right, but is socially, and should be socially referred to as a woman, right? So when we get into the question of...
Because this definition is a person of either sex, so by definition, they are a man.
I know, but when we're talking about, here's the thing. This is why context is really important. And importance, and what I know, I agree, one second. What we're talking about is gender here. We talk about gendered pronouns, right? We talk about gendered spaces, okay? So when we look at the definition of man that you brought up, it is not a gendered definition. So that's the issue that I'm pointing out here, is when we're talking about gendered definitions, we need to talk about gender. And I'm saying it's better to understand gender, right, as a social construction, rather than in a strictly biological sense. And we can go into why that is. But you need to let go of the incredibly pedantic and flagrantly incorrect approach to this argument, which is circle jerking to a definition of Oxford Languages.
Well, hold up. I mean, but you forfeited the trans women are men, right? You forfeit that by your definition.
I didn't forfeit it.
Yeah, you said context matters, right? Context matters.
That's not a forfeit.
What we're talking about is the second definition.
Once again, you're just disingenuous. I didn't forfeit anything. I didn't cede anything, right? I didn't make any point contrary to my own point, right? All I said is that in certain contexts, different words apply. In certain contexts, I'm a woman, yeah. In certain, like when if my like, friend who's a girl said, "Oh, I was the man of the house," in that context, she's a man in what she's referring to, right? If I am, a man, if Jesus came down here to save all men, right? Obviously, that also saved my friend who's a woman, right? Depends how and what we're referring to. But within the context of this discussion, what we're talking about is gender, right? And within the context of gender, I'm saying gender should be understood socially, right? So I'm asking you to engage in that. I'm asking you to engage in that discourse productively.
What's your definition of a man?
So the gendered definition of a man would be a person that identifies with the social construction in their society composed of social characteristics associated with males.
Okay, and what is that?
What do you mean, what is that? It's socially dependent. Depends which society you're in.
Yeah, what makes you a man then?
Your identity with the social construction.
Social construction. What is that social construction?
It depends which society you're in.
Okay, in our society, in Western society.
Do you want me to go through things that are associated with males?
Yeah, go for it. What would make someone? What would qualify someone as a man?
No, so like it's your identity with it. So if I identified right with whatever I was raised to believe was associated with males, like toughness, strength, violence is raised into our men, emotional incompatibility and failure to emotionally communicate. Right? There are a huge amount of things that are pushed into men. What it means to feel manly as opposed to womanly. It's a really complicated concept, right? But we all understand what we mean when we say that we feel womanly or we feel manly. And you understand that I'm not reference, oh, I really feel like I have a penis today, right? You know that that's not true. So I think yeah, so when we're talking about that, you understand what I mean when I say womanly. All I'm saying is a person who identifies right with that womanly identification is a woman in this context.
Why I understand what a woman is, what's womanly? Do you know why I understand what's womanly?
Yeah, because you've been taught what society expects of females.
No, it's because exactly, females, an adult human female is a woman.
This is an
So
inability to engage in nuance.
Your gender cannot exist without the actual base of sex. So
I actually agree with that. That's fascinating.
Base it off of male.
Wait, yeah. I believe gender is derived from sex.
Okay, gender is derived from sex, right? And what is sex then?
Sex is a set of biological characteristics. Gender is a set of sociological characteristics associated with, right, the category of sex.
Right, but you and I both know that even if something's considered manly, it doesn't make you a woman or a man. I know you're going to concede that, because if we have some very tough and manly women, and we have some very
that's why I reference identity in terms of gender.
Exactly. So it doesn't even matter what the societal expectations are.
But it does, because identity in regard to those societal expectations.
Right. So yeah, but it doesn't have to be those societal expectations.
But it does, because your identity. No. Wait, you keep repeating it. It continues to be dumb. I'm saying your identity regarding those societal expectations, right? So what it means to be a Christian is defined by society. And then how I know if I'm a Christian is whether I identify with those rules that are set by society. Okay, I'm saying the rules for it are defined by society, and then your identity determines your categorization within these two options, or within these few options.
No. So okay, so let's.
Did you understand what I just said? Does that make sense? Like, do you understand the point that I made? So when you were saying that societal expectations didn't matter, do you understand how wrong that was?
No, actually it is.
Okay, then let's keep on pushing on this point. So can I be a Christian? What?
You know that societal expectations change throughout history, right?
And what it means to be a man and a woman has changed throughout history, absolutely.
So that's not it's not definitive. It doesn't matter
what it means to be. Wait, but so this is what it means to be a Roman has changed throughout history, and who is categorized as a Roman has changed throughout history. What it means to be an American has changed throughout history. It doesn't mean that these labels are not real and do not exist.
Okay, let me ask you something. I'm gonna use your.
Yeah. Do you disagree with that? Do you actually think that something having changed throughout history proves that it's not real?
No, but they all have a
so then,
single foundation.
But when you said, so you agree that what it means to be a man and a woman has changed throughout history, and then you said, so therefore that means it has no foundation. You were incorrect, because that does not follow from the other.
No. Societal expectations have changed, but the man and woman stayed the same.
I know, but no. So what I said, no. That's not, no. We can't slip out of this one, though.
I'm not.
You are, though. Because I said that what it means to be a man and a woman, has changed throughout history. You said, then that means it has no foundation. That does not follow.
Yeah, it does, because you don't have any foundation for it in the first place.
But does the fact that something has changed throughout history mean that it has no foundation?
No, it always has a foundation. foundation. If it has
Okay,
meaning,
so
it always
wait,
has
so
meaning.
then you saying the fact that what a man and a woman means has changed throughout history means that it has no foundation is wrong, because one does not follow from the other. It does not follow. It does not follow. It does not follow that.
Wait, can you just finish my sentence? And then
Yeah, sure. If you elucidate to me, if you ever admit that you were wrong.
No. Let me finish what I'm saying. Because you keep cutting me off like halfway through, and I can't even make a point. So, societal expectations, right, of what it means to be a man and woman have changed throughout centuries. Wearing dress. Men used to wear high heels and dresses. Now women typically do. However, George Washington and a man today have one thing in common. What makes him a man is being an adult human male. So just because the societal expectations change, there's always a foundation. Same with being an American. What it means to be an American might change, but you will always be if you're born in America, you will always be an American. So there's always some sort of foundation. I would say gender can be looked at as maybe being patriotic for an American if we try to use this analogy, but we always have some sort of foundation for it.
Wonderful. That still doesn't mean that your original proposition wasn't fallacious. Your proposition, you said, so you agree, so you're saying that what it means to be a man and woman has changed throughout history. Did you say that?
I said the societal expectations have.
No. You said that what I said was that what it means to be a man and woman has changed throughout history. Did you not?
The societal expectations.
And I define being a man and a okay. And then you accused me of having no foundation for what it means to be a man or a woman.
You don't have a foundation because it has changed.
So that doesn't follow.
What it means to be a man and a woman today would be the complete opposite in the 1700s.
Exactly.
Yeah,
no, exactly. So this is one second, stop speaking for a second. That's the exact syllogism that I'm attacking. The fact that it would be different in a different time does not mean that it has no foundation. So you can't continue making this syllogism. If something changes throughout time, it does not follow from that fact that it has no foundation.
The societal expectations have, but the main...
No. You keep saying I have no foundation. You keep saying I have no foundation. Okay? And you prove that by saying that it's changed throughout history. Don't you?
I said the societal expectations. Societal expectations change all the time. Same with currency. Currencies change. What it means currency, but the kind of currency we use has changed. But currency will always be currency.
I'm attacking the accusation that you made against me, which is that I have no foundation. How do you know that I have no foundation?
Because if you said the societal expectations, you identify with the societal expectations, but that doesn't make you a man or a woman. If I say...
So the fact that you disagree means I have no foundation.
If I identify as a female, if I identify as a feminine man, which is not the traditional traits associated with a man, then does that make me any less of a man than somebody else?
What does it mean to identify as a feminine man?
I don't know, you tell me. You're the one who's...
But you're the one... No. Wait, no. You said... If I identify as this, what do you mean by that?
What I mean is, like you said, societal expectations around what it means to be...
No, I know the edgelord asshole bullshit you're doing. I'm asking you what you mean. What does it mean to identify as a feminine man?
What it means, someone who leans more towards the feminine side, not the masculine side.
But what does it mean for you to do that? Okay, what do you mean by identifying as a man?
What does it mean by identifying as a man?
So I asked you what it means.
Let's just say I'm a woman. I'm a trans man who wants to identify as a feminine man.
Yeah, and what do you mean by that? What does it mean to you to identify as that? When you say I identify as a man who also happens to present femininely, what do you mean by you identify as a man?
Long hair, dress.
Yeah, that's your I know that's the feminine part. What does it mean to identify as a man in your context?
In my context?
Yes.
I'm using your definition. I'm trying to understand your definition.
Okay, so no, I know. So using my definition, it's kind of nonsense. What you just said. That's why I'm saying I know. That's like saying I identify as a let's say, as a Muslim Christian, they're a bit contradictory. You can't orient yourself towards both femininity and masculinity at the same time. What I'm saying is when you identify as a man, right, you're identifying with masculinity. So you can only identify with one. You can say two things though. You can say, I identify with masculinity, but I enjoy and still continue to present feminine, right? But those are two different identities. One's not really an identity. So this is why I say you're being an edgelord discussing concepts you don't really understand. Because what you just said is incoherent. If you're using my definition, it is incoherent.
If I said today that I identify as a woman right now,
And what do you mean by that?
I identify as a woman. I identify as the societal characteristics associated with what it means to be a woman, right? Does that make me a woman right now?
I would say, yes, I would recognize you properly as a woman. If you meant it.
Okay.
If you're not being an edgelord, which you are. So if I thought you were being a liar, I wouldn't. See how that works?
Okay, so if I took away the societal expectations and I decided not to act feminine, I just decided to act exactly the way I do right now, I just identify as a woman, does that make me a woman?
And I'd ask you what you mean by being a woman, by identifying as a woman.
I've always felt like a woman.
And what does that mean to you?
What does it mean to me? It means being womanly.
What does it mean to feel womanly?
It means to be, it means to be, it just feels right to me. I've always known.
But I'm asking you what you mean by feeling womanly.
Going through a lot, having to deal with struggles at work.
What?
Yeah, that's why I want to be a woman.
Because you went through struggles at work.
Yep, I went through struggles at work.
Have you ever spoken to a real live trans person?
I have several times.
Then you know how stupid you look, don't you?
No, that's how stupid the argument is you can identify because you want to.
No, because this is, the difficulty here is you don't even understand what it means to identify as trans. That's why you represent and trivialize identifying as trans as something like giving bullshit reasons like that. You trivialize it because you don't understand it. I gave you what it means to identify. Here's what a lot of like bigots do, like yourself, is you go, well, if you give me that definition of, well, I have to identify with masculinity to be a man, what if I identify as a man and don't identify with masculinity? I would just then say, by that definition, you're not a man. It's crazy. It's almost like the definition and the label go together. It's almost like I mean the definition that I suggest. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that when I put a word, right, and a definition together, that you need to identify with the word and the definition? This is what all these discussions come down to. You fundamentally not understanding what it means to identify as any given gender.
To identify the man, you identify with masculinity, right?
I mean, in a short understanding, yeah. Identify and orient, I would typically say.
So you have to identify with the word and masculinity.
I'd say by and large, I don't know if the word's necessary. I think if you actively don't identify, I think an essential quality would be to at least not actively dispute the word. So I'd say if you I'd say one masculine quality is referring to yourself as a man. That's what I'd say.
Okay, so there we go. So all you need to identify as a man is just to say, I want to be a man. I believe I'm a man.
No,
right?
That's not what I said.
You just said that saying I'm a man is masculine.
I said that's one masculine quality.
Yeah.
But does that equate to being sufficient?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
No. Also, you didn't ask
Okay, so
me.
can it-
You said that it was, right, and then I corrected you, and then you pretended like you were asking, because you lied about my position.
trans-
I'd prefer if you didn't lie about my position and you actually asked me my position.
No, you just said it was one quality. That's
Yeah, but I didn't say that it was
masculine.
sufficient.
Okay.
So then when you said it was sufficient, that was incorrect. It was either ignorance or active ignorance. I hope that it was just being dumb.
So is there no such thing as feminine trans men?
Absolutely, there are feminine trans men.
That's what I'm saying. There is no quality. You say one definition, but it doesn't apply.
But it does, because it's regarding identity and not presentation. Do you understand the distinction?
Yes, I'm saying so you identify with the word, not what it means.
No. So, are there sinful
Yeah, we all
Christians?
know.
1 second. Are there sinful Christians?
There are, yes.
Does that mean that they're not Christians?
No, because that part doesn't mean being Christian. It's accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior is what it means to be Christian.
Wonderful.
There's
But
different
wouldn't
sects
you
of it,
great?
different rules, but it's all based on
Wouldn't you expect someone who accepts Jesus as their Lord and Savior into their heart to be less sinful?
But that's not synonymous.
I know it's not synonymous, but orienting yourself orienting yourself and identifying with characteristics is not synonymous with actively personifying them in all cases.
Using your analogy,
What
one thing
analogy
that
did-
all sects of Christianity have in common?
What is one? Is that they have an identity-based definition.
What is the one thing that Catholics, Christian, all of them have in common? Because you can use that argument for all.
Oh yeah,
religion. I'm
no,
talking about-
yeah. It's the ubiquitous. Well, not all Christians accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, but that would be the general definition.
Right.
But we would
Catholics
generally
too.
define it that way. Catholics are Christians.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All sects of Christianity have Jesus, right? There's Jesus. We'll just say there's Christian. Jesus Christ is basis of other religions.
And
It's
all,
centered around
and
Jesus,
and
whether he's
all
our Lord
men.
and Savior.
Here's the lovely thing, and all men, by the definition that I gave, identify with masculinity, and all women identify with femininity. You have. I don't want to answer the inane questions for the 10th time. So if you ask me about feminine trans men one more time, I'm going to ask for like your SAT score or something, or like your most recent or I'm going to ask for like your most recent hearing test, right?
Let me ask
It
you,
is
is
so
Jeffree Star a man or a
obvious. It is so obvious that there
Jeffree
can.
Star a man or a woman? You're asking.
I don't know what they currently identify as.
With Jeffree Star.
I don't know what they currently
man or
identify. I've answered you.
You don't know. They present themselves as a woman. They look like they basically they present themselves as a woman, right? But they say I am a man. They are extraordinarily feminine. So no, saying a man that identifies with masculinity is not right. They all are biological adult human males. That's the only thing throughout history that has stayed consistent throughout all men.
It's not true.
It is. Give me an example where a man is not an adult human male.
Wonderful. So there have been plenty of adult human males who are not men. For example, within the Jewish faith, up to 8 genders are recognized, of which eunuchs are one, of which intersex people are one. Eunuchs are adult human males. The two-spirited people, right, across North America in native tribes, they can be male and have the gender of two-spirited. Hawaii has a third gender, which can include some males. India recognizes a third native gender, which includes some males. There is almost an infinite amount of accounts of native and ancient traditions of adult human males being things other than man across societies. You're just living in like a colonial world and ignoring that which was colonized.
Wait. What's a male then? What's a male then?
A male is a sexual fact. A male is a person who has the like biological qualities typical of that which produces the inseminating gamete. So there are people like that who are not men throughout most of human history.
All right, and then I'm not familiar with the in the scriptures where it says that.
Then familiarize yourself. Oh, is that my Wi-Fi? Okie dokie, everyone. I think I will probably call that quits for tonight. So, love ya. Peace out. Thank you to everyone on my YouTube. Shout out to everyone on my YouTube. I think I'm probably going to try and here's what we're probably going to try and do is I'll probably try and start scheduling just announcements with Will. So I think what I'm probably going to try and start doing is doing a YouTube only live once every week at like a scheduled time, right? Maybe like Sundays or something, where I spend an hour or two on just YouTube, right? Short, are you in the guest press? Hilarious. Yeah, so I think I'm probably going to do that because I want to do like an Omegle live, and I can really only do Omegle on YouTube. And also motivate people to go on YouTube. So I think I'll probably do that. Would probably get good content for my YouTube. 100% get me demonetized, but we live on. Yeah. Yeah, callers have been decent from TikTok. Yeah, they have. So yeah. Omegle would be really, really good fun. But yeah, okay. Love you all. Bye now.
answer of, are you really just a COO or I don't know.
CEO name only.
Okay, yeah, not nice. I want to go back to your, he runs product, he runs technology, he leads a team of exceptionally talented engineers. And who's kidding who? Who wouldn't want